freaking out, man.
You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men with power want? More power.
My name is Luca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom.
We're not afraid.
Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. Another Sunday, another show. Well, a lot of things are happening, a lot of information. I want to share with you this first hour some breaking news. We heard about the Bundys the last 2 years or more, since the day that all that, let's say, standoff, I want to call it peaceful protest, happened. I was there reporting on the front line, among with me other fellow Americans, and we been witnessing, in my opinion, according to facts, honestly, and I'll tell you more again, one of the most really intrusive, abusive, I don't know how you call it, use of coercion and force and abuse of power by the federal government against American people. That's it. People say, no, you're wrong, Luca. Let me give you a chance, okay? I feel so sad to admit this. I wish it wasn't true. But when I'll bring today again the case, what happened to these American people being detained without bail for years, almost 2 years, some of them, okay? Facing charges that not even, let's say, a violent bank robber or a rapist, I don't think is going to face 120 or 110 years, okay? Here there was no crime. There was no violent crime for sure. Nobody got hurt. And when we know now today that, for example, the Bundys, like Clive and Bundy, all was really, that according to the case, was due to the federal government, was like less than $9,000. And the federal government spent millions, they say $100 million to not just prosecute them, but also to create, to confiscate, to harass, to spy, and everything else you can imagine on the book. And you can see, situations like, I already had Harry J. Parker and his wife, the famous sniper, what they call the sniper, they're supposed to face over 100 years in jail, federal prison, After that, it went down to a misdemeanor. And just because they couldn't find anything else. And many other people just got completely free. I mean, the point is, this is very serious. And regardless where you stand on the issue, this is what really I'm focusing today again. Is there a due process? Are we living still in America that our founding fathers left for us? Where we have a Bill of Rights? Where we have a government that cannot just throw your ass in jail just because they don't like your ideas and say, you know what, you stay there. Or we are like now North Korea or China. I think we are worse in some areas because at least in North Korea, there are no rights. There is no Bill of Rights. You steal what? An apple, or you say something bad about your leader, you will rot 20 years in jail. That's it. Here you're supposed to have a country where we are all innocent until proven guilty. Where we have the basic, due process, like, for example, bail. I mean, especially for people that really do not have any type of previous criminal records and do have no any type of violent past or even record. Should be a basic right. Instead, look what happened. But we have some very good news. And I want to share this good news with my friend Ken from Michigan, Ken Rhoades, that not only has been following the case in as much time as he could, driving directly from Michigan to Las Vegas to follow in the Bundy's case. Also, he went, of course, during the Oregon situation, went there following the case. But let's not forget, he was there with me. The famous or infamous day, according to the point of views, when all this happened in the little place, Bunkersville, Nevada. We were there, the front line, exercising our American rights, our human rights, freedom of speech, and more important also, reporting the news. Now, let me just bring my friend Ken. Ken, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Luca, and thank you for having me on.
No, thank you.
Hey, Luca,
Go ahead.
I'm gonna start out with yesterday because they released Ryan Payne yesterday about 3:00.
Yes.
So all the Bundys have been released except the male and the other one. There's two of them and David. They're still being held, but they plan on releasing them this week. So now I'm gonna go back and tell you. 2 weeks ago, they was all trying to get released, and the judge says that all of them were a danger to society. They couldn't be released because she didn't think Cliven Bundy would show back up for the trial.
Yeah.
I mean, she come around and said that. Yesterday, they said they were going to release all the rest of them, and Cliven Bundy told them, I don't care how many of them you release. I'm staying right here till I walk out of this court a free man. He's refusing to leave their jail. Here's the guy that the judge said wouldn't show back up if he got out.
Wow.
And he won't feed. He said they can feed him and take care of him until he walks out of that courtroom a free man.
Wow.
I give him a lot for his morals and what he believes. He's standing up for what he believes in.
Let's sum it up. Let's sum it up a little bit, the situation, because, just a few weeks ago we talked, me and you, and we were talking about the preparation of this case, the Bundy's case, and exactly the final trial at this point, I guess, to wrap this up, all this ordeal at what happened at Bunkersville. So we had all the Bundy family pretty much lined up in front of a jury coming soon. And then we had, of course, some other, I want to call them actors. I mean, they're part of this, unfortunately, conspiracy, as the governments want to call it. And they were facing all trial. And they were facing serious charges. I mean, talking about, like, for example, they had before just a month ago, Eric J. Parker and Scott Drexler, they were facing 100 years in jail. And then, of course, they just got, they couldn't get anything on them. And they cut the deal and they gave a misdemeanor. So now exactly what's happening now since the last time we talked with the Bundys? Why they got released? What happened?
Jeff Sessions doesn't do very much, but he came out and said on, let me see here, it was he made a Federalist speech on YouTube. He said if they're not following the Constitution, you can Google it up. If you're not following the Constitution, they're going to be investigated. We don't know why all of a sudden that this judge that was so corrupt is all of a sudden she's getting scared. It looks to me like, and she's backing down. She said that when Todd Engel got found guilty, and I think he's facing 30 years.
Wow.
They found him guilty when he tried to bring up. They had snipers on the ridge.
Yeah.
She shot him right down. No, you can't say she wouldn't let him finish testifying. Shot him right down. So now we find out the FBI, the prosecutor came in and said, Your Honor, it just came to my attention today that they did have the FBI had snipers on the ridge. Mm-hmm. And she knew that, but she's playing the game. She said, well, she got on the prosecutor, said, I've sentenced other people under these, she hadn't sentenced them, but she's convicted them under these terms. Now that gives me a big problem. So I think they're all trying to distance themselves from this. I do believe that she's wanting a mistrial because the first three witnesses that testified for the government, we've only had three so far. They've all been for the government. Every one of them helped out the defense. They actually helped out the defense. One of them even admitted that his partner lied to Ryan. An FBI agent, lied to Ryan. And so I don't know what's going on, but it's a good thing. But I guess I don't blame Cliven Bundy for not leaving the jail. He said, I'm not leaving here till I'm a free man. So
question: when you go to you've been following in court? Did you go all the way inside the court the last few days?
I did only when the jury's not in because I'm supposed to be a witness.
Yeah.
So I can't go in. I can't go in when the jury's are, but when they're arguing the other stuff, I can go in. I see.
Again, I want to remind why it's so important what's happening now. Of course, the case, it's not over. This is just something now the judge say, wait a second, I cannot keep you in jail waiting one more hour, one more day, because these people, meanwhile, let's not forget, some of them, they already spent more than 1 year in jail waiting for trial. Am I right or wrong?
No, I think it's about 2 weeks from being or 2 months from being 2 years.
Exactly. So think about that. Now that all these lies start to come to realization that we have been lied. I mean, the judge, of course, you think they already knew it? I think so too. I think the judge has been proven in the past with the other trial, with especially with Eric Parker, that she has an agenda. Okay, it's not about following the Constitution and the basic due process, but still, right now, these people that have been facing almost 2 years was supposed to be a speedy trial, not speedy at all, of course, but they're supposed to have the basic right of posting bail, no bail. People that all they can say, you may not like their face, you may not like their belief, you may not like their political ideas, fine. But they didn't have any criminal record. They didn't have rob anybody. They didn't kill anybody. So it's really ridiculous to just say that we can keep you indefinitely here in prison waiting for a trial. Meanwhile, we'll try to break you down. Meanwhile, we will break your homes. We will break your families. We will break your bank account. I mean, that's what they've done. They lost jobs. They lost probably some of them, I don't know, maybe their homes. I don't know, but for sure, they destroyed their lives. And now, okay, sorry. We were just lied. Should be some accountability here. I mean, if the prosecution has been found lying, if the FBI has been found lying about all the things that they did not want to put in trial, admit in trial, they should be fined. I think they should be persecuted too. Because meanwhile, we are not just playing with some, I don't know, something. This is about people spend 2 years in a real federal prison. So this is serious. I mean, they can play with our life like that. That's why exactly my point. I said before even we go into the, if you like or not, the ranchers, the cows, what you think about the Constitution with the federal land. Before even we go there, let's look at the due process. This is something like a complete abuse of power. What do you think?
Well, absolutely, it's abuse of power. But I really think that they thought all these bar attorneys was going to go along with them. Because, they swear an oath that they'll defend the government over the citizens. They do in Michigan.
Yeah.
Because an attorney told me that. So I think they thought all these lawyers was going to go along with them. I call them bar attorneys. But this time, Luca, believe it or not, we got 6 attorneys sitting in that courtroom, and they're all fighting together. It ain't like, well, I'm only going to fight for my defendant, and this one says I'm only going to fight. These guys they're meeting every night, and they're putting their strategy down, and they're all working together. And that's what it's going to take to beat this. I think she's going to try to declare a mistrial. Because right now, with all the juries already heard, I guarantee you that they know that they'll come up with another not guilty. If this jury goes out today, they come back not guilty.
Wow.
So she went from the very start, the first 2 trials, you can't even bring a Constitution in my courtroom.
Wow.
And now she let Ryan Bundy get up there and give him a 2 hours speech on the Constitution.
Wow.
So I really don't know what's going on. I wish I did. But I think she's for a mistrial. I don't know why she don't do a complete drop all the charges on all of them. Because, Daniel P. Love, they're fighting like hell to keep him out. And all you know who he is. He was a liar from the start. And now he's been convicted of some kind of a crime. Boy, they do not want him in that courtroom.
Well, let's put it this way. Next week, there is a lot of things coming. And the reason why I wanted to, bring you in again, because this is, for me, one of the most important cases right now in this moment in America, to show that we are no more a country based, upon the rule of law. We are not anymore under the rule of law. Right now, we are completely as a selective enforcement of the law. I mean, think about it. And I've been talking over and over and over, and I will never stop talking. We still have situations like people, devils like Hillary Clinton, not even facing charges for something that is the biggest, in my opinion, crime in plain view against this nation. Talking about treason, talking about perjury, talking about lying under oath, talking about, doing things that anybody else would already spent probably 50 years, 100 years in jail for real. I mean, and let's not forget the uranium. But my point is, right now, we have people that somehow they've been released, and let's not forget, meanwhile, they spent 2 years in jail, and they have really nothing against them so far. It seems like less and less their castle is being disappearing. For example, you remember when the first time in the news they were trying to say that Karmyn Bundy owes to the federal government, I think probably $1 million grazing fee, something like that. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. All the news in Las Vegas is saying he owes $1 million grazing fee.
Okay.
That's all we heard for 6 months. It comes out now in the transcripts, and this is from the federal witness, the head of the BLM in Clark County, Nevada, that he owed $8,815.
Exactly.
Now, Luca, I don't know if I told you last week, she said they were rounding up the cattle, and they were going to give them back to the Bundys, put on their 160 acres that they own.
Yeah.
Or they was going to go sell them, take out the $8,800 of their money and give him the difference in the money. Now, does that make very much sense to you?
Yeah. No, it is so bad. It is so bad on so many levels. And also the fact that the federal government can lie in plain view, in court, bring in false evidence or denying the evidence they should have. And then there is no really repercussion. Yeah, we made a mistake or whatever. I mean, this is wrong. If you lie in court in front of a judge, probably you're going to get arrested for something else, I'm sure. I mean, right there, you're under oath, okay? So this is so wrong. And now, it's coming down to a point. This life, these people's life, the Bundys, and not just the Bundys. I mean, there are the people, like I said before, they've been destroyed, at least they've been seriously damaged. Who's going to give it back to them? Who's going to give back the 2 years or more or less of time and businesses and family time and their homes? As I said, look at Harry Parker. I had him on the show a few times, and we've been following the situation with his wife. Their life is being completely put upside down. And so what now?
Absolutely.
I mean,
and what are they going to do? What are they going to do for him now? I can tell you what they plan on doing for him. They plan on doing nothing for him.
Yeah, and my point is, go ahead.
All your listeners may say, well, they're not doing that to me. Well, guess what? When you don't stand up, your rights become privileges. So they will come for you sooner or later.
Exactly. They can do this to anybody now. And people used to laugh at us when I was talking about me. 2012, the National Defense Authorization Act with a clause of indefinite detention. That means that government now, they don't need to give you any more a reason or an excuse or an habeas corpus to completely detain you indefinitely in prison. All they need to say that you are a potential terrorist. And probably they did not spell it out in this case, but really believe that what the legality they were using in this case against the Bundys as political dissidents, they say, hey, you don't agree with the government, you're a potential terrorist. That's the definition, also terrorist. Just anything that somehow can compromise the status quo of the government. So right now they can use this with any one of us. We have before pre-Magna Carta. We have before pre-even Constitution, Bill of Rights. So this is for me a definition of tyranny, when government has absolute powers to destroy your life. And that's the point. People can say, no, we are living in a free country. It's your choice to be blind. It's your choice to live in denial. Fine. But the reality, this is no more America that our founding fathers fought and died for. Even with all the imperfections, was still the most unique place in the world. It's up to us, though, to keep it in that way. And we let it go, in my opinion. We need to get it back. Now, what do you think next week? Are you going to still be around Las Vegas next week?
Well, yeah, I drive over to California on the weekends because the court's closed down. I see my daughters and stuff, my grandkids over here. But then as soon as they'll know a day ahead of time, then the guy I stay with over in Vegas, he'll call me, and I'll get in my car. It's only a 3-hour drive, and I'll drive back over to see him get released.
All right.
So.
Anyway, and there is so much going on meanwhile. As I said, there are things that make me furious. Meanwhile, we have, let's say, a situation with an illegal alien in San Francisco who shot, and a woman, killer, stealing a gun from a federal agent, allegedly, for what we know, and he just got released. That's it. It's free. Found no guilty. Meanwhile, if you're in San Francisco, in California in general, if you defend yourself just because you're in your home and you have a gun in your home, like in San Francisco, even if you use it for self-defense, you may probably be found guilty. And this man doesn't even have the right to have a gun. It was an illegal alien, for starter. And, of course, also, let's not forget, having a stolen gun. I mean, think about it, and he's found not guilty. So there is no justice at so many levels. It is not just about the things that we know, the biggest cases like the Clintons. I mean, this is so big. But there is a point that is coming to a point. I really believe it's almost overwhelming, the fact that we need to face. I mean, how can you go back to say, okay, now I need to be a law-abiding person? Meanwhile, they will throw the book at me if I don't pay a seatbelt ticket or anything. Meanwhile, you have people like this, they killed somebody, illegal alien, and they got found no guilt. I mean, it is hard to, honestly, I really found it hard to bear it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel very low sometimes. I don't know about you. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe you're right, Luca. But here's what I'm going to say this on your show, because I think they're putting everything on hold, hoping they can get Trump impeached, and then they can go. If they can get him impeached, even though he does a lot of things I don't like, he still. I know what we'd had if we had Hillary Clinton in there, but these communists over here, they want to impeach him. If he gets impeached, we'll go right back the same way it's been for the last 100 years.
Yeah, listen, as I said, before even we go to look at Trump, we have so much. I mean, let's say people want to have enough evidence with Trump. Honestly, I don't see anything really. Everything is done. It's been done after, when he was already president, and he has the right to ask questions and even to go to talk to the Russians if he wants. But before even we go there, let's say there is really something to investigate. Fine. But why Attorney General Jeff Sessions, after more than, how many months he's been already in office, does even want to talk? Yeah, almost a year. They don't even want to talk. Something that Hillary Clinton right now is being also mainstream news. It's not just something out of a conspiracy website. We have so much evidence that we should go back from the server, the 30,000 email, the perjury. I mean, let's not even forget about the trail of death that should be investigated. I mean, even the Donna Brazil book, she came out publicly admitting things that are supposed to be at least under criminal investigation, and nothing. So the uranium scandal, it is something that should be already now, people get arrested. I mean, this is not just something they got an extra dollar with some corruption. They're also selling something that's supposed to be our national defense security, or 20% of our uranium to what they think could be a danger, like the Russians. That should be investigated. No. So that's why, I don't know, sometimes I feel very powerless. And all I can do, and I tell you, I've been many times with the desire almost to say, you know what, I'm done with this show. There is so much I can do. What am I doing? Talking always to myself and bringing the same topics over and over. How many times you want to say? But at the same time, if I can wake up, even just another person, and trying to get more people into this struggle, I think this is the obligation I have. And that's all I can think. Because sometimes I'm really down. I must tell you, I say, why am I doing this? What do you think?
Yeah, but you know what, Luca, I'm like you. If you wake up one person to this corruption that's going on, and everybody thinks, commerce is good and social government is good, it ain't nothing as good as what we had if it was run right. Yeah.
Listen, you never heard about Pete Santilli anymore, because you used to be on the show very regular. I know I met you also through him. And he was there at the Bundys, and also he got a deal that I don't think was really a good deal, in my opinion, since he got accepted a felony charge. Did you ever heard from him?
No, I haven't, Luca.
I don't know. Part of me, I would like to have him back on, to know what happened to him. Part of me, I'm very disappointed with him, but that's my personal things at this point. All I know that seems like one of the people that somehow he didn't get a really good deal out of this. don't you think? I mean, a felony is still a felony. A lot of even now is free, but you cannot have a gun, you cannot vote. You're gonna probably have people still probation. I mean, a lot of things that I believe that can be compromising. What do you think? Did he get a good deal?
Yeah, I know he can't. One of his deals the judge gave him, he can't. When he goes on the radio, he can't talk about Nevada at all. He can talk about up in Oregon, but he can't talk about Nevada.
Wow, interesting. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think happened to him? Your personal opinion, of course. We don't know anything for sure. What do you think happened to him?
I think after they had that shooting there in Vegas, and he thought they was all going to be found guilty, and they kept, that's why they keep you in jail, Luca, for 2 years.
Yeah.
Trying to break you down.
Yeah. No,
I think they seen here lately it wasn't working, so she decided to release him.
Yeah.
But she still plans on going ahead with this trial, but we'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this week. Lisa, anything you want?
Yeah,
go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, just if you give me a second, just tell them all to go to the biggerthansnowden.com. And people should look that up and see what else the government's doing.
Okay.
Biggerthansnowden.com.
Biggerthansnowden.com. Okay, listen, I appreciate you, first of all, for taking always the time to be on the show, but also to go there and, leaving family behind, going there to Nevada, gas, time, and everything else. And as I said, you potentially, we were not just witness, but also just the fact that we were there that day, exercising our right. According to the prosecution, we were part of the conspiracy. Even just when you walk to the court, they have your name down. They have my name down. You know that. So,
right.
So that point is, honestly, I would have gone there only if I was called as a witness. But I was trying not to volunteer myself for the simple reason why that I don't want to give them the chance to be, if they really want to come and get me, that's fine. But I don't want to give them a chance to save the gas money, okay? Let's put it this way. Because unfortunately, they can come and get you. And look what they've done to many people that they were just there. Pete Santilli, at the end of the day, all he was doing there was there with a video camera and not even a weapon, a firearm, nothing. And they kept him in jail for a long, long time. And at the end, that's what happened to him. So I tell you, this is a very tyrannical government, in my opinion. And the point is, I'm not saying everybody's bad, but there is an agenda, and there are some, let's say, top executives of these agencies that they're following orders. And the orders, I really believe, are to put fear into us because they want something. And I believe not just they want our freedom, but what they want there, they want to be sure that the part of Nevada, the part of the world, like the Hammonds with Oregon, must be under their control. Could be the uranium one, could be Chinacom, I don't know. But for sure, they don't want us there. And that also goes back to Agenda 21. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think they plan on taking all of our rights away before it's over. And you brought it up at the first of the show about North Korea. Mm-hmm. At least when you live in North Korea, if you say anything, they're going to cut your arms and your hands off and stuff like that, or feed you to the dogs, a hungry pack of dogs.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to be that way over here, but it looks like we are.
Yeah. All right,
we're
Lisa,
getting there fast.
Let's be in touch next week. I hope there's going to be more good news. I hope not just everybody's going to be released, but also I hope this trial is going to come to an end. And maybe, at that point, should be some accountability. How much money the federal government spent to prosecute the Bundys and all the other people? In this case, between here, the Nevada case, and Oregon. And also to enforce all these, act of violence, like, for example, to spy and, gather and steal the cows, all that for less than $9,000 that the Bundy allegedly owe, according to the federal government, for the grazing fee. How much the federal government spent. And this is not just an opinion. It's according to the records. Please go ahead.
I think I've heard that they spent over $100 million, but I don't know that. That's just some of the figures that get thrown out there.
Okay, let's say maybe 100 could be too much, but let's put it in this way: everything from you go to FBI involvement between Oregon, and you go to FBI involvement and also other agencies, BLM, and hiring the contractors and the spine, and then the confiscation, and then of course the legality, and then the lawyers. And the hours. We're talking about millions, and then of course the prosecution, millions of dollars. That's right there. It's our dollar, by the way. And what happened now? If the Bundys or anybody will sue, they will shield behind our tax dollar. These people, because after all, they were working for the federal government. So that's the story. It's very sad. Well, Ken, keep me posted next week, please, as you have more information. Okay.
Okay, Luca. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you. That was Ken from Michigan, and you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. I have more information to talk about it. Please don't go away. This show, we talk about everything, and also about things that normally, people may say, hey, this is local. Doesn't matter. It's local. We will talk about local things because they're all connected with the corruption or news that could be, let's say, relevant to around the world. Do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. I will talk right now about the final case, or at least how the case is concluded for now, with the former county sheriff candidate, Cori Merryman. Do not go away.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Here we go, we're back. This is the first hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. I'm pretty excited. I just finished talking with the former sheriff candidate of Mojave County, Cori Merryman. That, by the way, I will read the article today that was published on the Standard. But the good thing is that, as I said, this show is not about agenda. I don't go after anybody but the facts, okay? Yeah, I give you my commentary. That's for sure. I have my opinions. But I try to be really fair with everything. And not talking about the typical liberal fairness. No, I like to stick to the truth, okay? Sometimes I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, and I will try to correct. But as I said, I put also aside my personal friendship or my business relationship because the truth comes first when I'm on the show. If I don't want to do the show anymore, that's fine. But till I will do the show, I will oblige probably doesn't even exist, this word in English. I will, let's say, follow this rule, okay? This is for me the most important commitment. Now, I just talked with the Mrs. Cori Merryman that she said that she will really be happy to be on my show for next Sunday. Why do you think I think this is important? Because I'm not here just to read the headlines of the newspapers, of the articles. That, by the way, right now, this is no more a conspiracy. The article is backed by public records. In this case, a trial, a judge, and, a court, and more important, an agreement. She pleaded guilty to pay $17.20 to Kmart for stolen shoes. This is the headline that I read directly on the Standard of, what is the month? November the 29th, 2017. Ex-sheriff candidate pleads guilty, must pay $17.20 to Karmyn for stolen shoes. So, yes, I could just read the news. After all, they did a job to research, and now more important, as I said, no more a conspiracy. This is a fact directly from public records. But I think it's my job to give the other side the opportunity to say their side of the story. And I I did this with everybody, even with people that I may not agree, especially with people I don't agree. I want to give you the chance. This microphone, it is not just one way. It is not just what I say. It is also your way to defend yourself. I believe everybody has the opportunity. I'm not saying about, this is not a trial. The trial is already done. This is, of course, is a trial in the public opinion. That's all I can do. It's opinions, okay? People, you at the end of the day, you the listeners, you decide. You make up your mind. I bring you both sides of the story. So, first of all, today I will bring you what the article of the Standard says. You know, back to this stalker that I have on, that I also, met personally. I know personally this woman from Havasu, who I consider a stalker. She still keep writing me emails after more than 1 year. She blocked me, thank God, just because she didn't like what? I don't know what she doesn't like. Because I told her one day on my website, don't call me liar. But regardless, the point is, no, I talk about everybody here. I have no special interest, and I don't have any special allegiances about the truth, okay? And I do this with or without your continue email me that you're really ridiculous, by the way, out there, okay? Take a life, have a life. So anyway, this is my job. What I do here, we talk about everything. And also I'll give you my personal opinion, of course. Now, Bullet City, a former deputy and Mojave County Sheriff's candidate who stole a pair of shoes from Kmart in late July has pleaded guilty to shoplifting. The misdemeanor conviction will be wiped clean from her record if 37-year, let me go page 9, okay, Cori Merryman successfully completes 1 year of probation under the deferred prosecution deal entered November the 22nd in Bullet City Municipal Court. Defense attorney Brad Rideout said a Lake Havasu City resident must pay $17.20 in restitution to Kmart. Merryman must also perform 20 hours of community service. This article was signed by Dave Hawkins. Okay? Now, well, I have a lot of questions for Mrs. Merryman. At the end of the day, she decided to plead guilty. And when you decide to plead guilty, that's it. It's no more allegation. You've been found guilty because you decided. These are the rules of the game. But still, I would like to ask her questions. But more important, I would like to ask, what questions do you have for her, if you have any questions? I record the show, mostly because I don't go anymore to KTOX, to the studio. I don't do it live. But doesn't mean that this is not a live show. I really do not do any editing, besides if somebody, sometimes by accident, me included, we may use words that are not FCC compliant. So my point is, anything goes. Whatever you say, you're more than welcome to say. So I would like to, first of all, say next Sunday, according to the conversation I had with Mrs. Cori Merryman just a few minutes ago, I will have, during the first hour, Mrs. Cori Merryman on the show. Yes, exactly the woman that she ran for sheriff, and now she pleaded guilty to stealing a pair of shoes for $17. I have a lot of questions for her. I'm very curious about many questions. What's really going on here? And more important, I don't even want to tell you the question because there are so many questions that I want to keep them private and almost like, surprise. But this will be public questions very soon next week. But I want to give you, the listener, the opportunity to send me questions, okay, about this case, okay, or anything you could think that could be related to Mrs. Merryman campaign when she ran for sheriff. And this is the point why we must talk about this, why we should talk about this. This woman, now she's basically a private person. She's not running for anything. She's a mom and she minds her business. But for a moment, she was running for sheriff. I believe one of the most important offices we have in the country. Now, at the same time, what we see here today, I know $17 means nothing. There are people out there who are stealing thousands of dollars and in the county, and nothing really happened, allegedly because never been convicted. Or we know also situations that laws that were broken or violated and nothing really happened. Still, doesn't matter. At this point, we have this situation. But $17 is, for me, something should make you think. When you steal something for $17, I don't think you steal it because you're hungry. There was even a piece of bread. So what really happened there, I would like to ask? Is it maybe some sort of a mental disease? Or maybe something more? So I have a lot of questions. But more important, I say, please, you listener, write me the questions. Go to lovegunsfreedom.com, www.lovegunsfreedom.com. You can find my email there, or I'll give you the email right now. Zanna, Z-A-N-N-A, at zanna.us. And any questions you have about the situation, I'll be happy to ask to Mrs. Merryman. So this is exactly my job. But why it's so important, I believe? Yes, it's a local issue. Normally on my show lately, we talk about things that are beyond our county. But as I said, I deeply believe that what we are facing here is exactly what we should do in every part of the world. We should be free to talk about everything, especially when it comes down to things that are public in our form of governments. Yes, she never made it to be a sheriff, but guess what? Maybe she may run again. So I think these are good questions we should have the opportunity to ask. Now, talking about more local things, normally I don't touch very much what happens here in Mohave County because, we have so many things we are facing, as I said, in general, as Americans and also as humanity. The New World Order is everywhere. But whatever happens in a little city or town, like Kingman, I'm sure it's happening also in other parts of the world. Let me give you this one. This is disgusting, beyond disgusting. You won't believe it. In Kingman right now, we have one of the highest sale tax of the state of Arizona. Meanwhile, I'm reading this paper. One of the highest sale tax in the state of Arizona. So much that they're supposed to remove a sale tax that was momentarily increased a few years ago. Not only they did not remove it, but also they improve it. And I'm being sarcastic here. So now we have 9.3%, something like that, of sale tax. I know compared to Italy or Europe, maybe nothing. But for here, Arizona, that's a lot. Think about almost 10%. Especially when you go in the county, you have probably about an average of 5.2 or whatever it is. So, why this is so sad? Because you realize that this government, the Kingman government, is the typical example of what government does best. Suck the blood out of you. And never gonna be enough. Always more. It's like a parasite till, finds its host, and the host, it's us. We are the cows to milk. There is a point that the cow will not provide any more milk, but they will bleed. That's what they're doing to us. Meanwhile, you must understand why the city of Kingman is so out of control with the spending. But let me tell you just an example. Even today in the same article, the same newspaper of the Standard, there is an article about something that gives you exactly the glance of what's going on in the city of Kingman. Bacon is not what you eat. I don't eat that anyway. Bacon will bring home the bacon. City will spend $91,000 on temporary managers' 3-month contract. James Bacon will take the reins of Kingman City government from December through February. Financial details have emerged after the City Council voted November the 21st to approve a contract securing his employment as interim city manager. With more than 40 years of administrative experience, Bacon temporarily succeeds John Doherty, the city manager who exited his position Thursday, November the 30th, after the City Council decided not to renew his contract. Bacon will shadow Doherty for 1 day, and he'll serve as interim manager from December the 4th through March the 1st, 2018. The two men made their rounds meeting city staff on Monday. Bacon will be paid a little more than $4,400 per week, and a little more than $70,000 for the duration of the contract. The city will kick in another $13,700 for housing and $6,722 for more for a retirement contribution. Wow. The city contracted with interim public manager. I mean, this is just pure absurd. Okay? Absurd. So, why it's so important we talk about this? Because this is not just happening in city of Kingman or town of Kingman, whatever. This is happening in government in general. May happen right now in Scotland, may happen in Sweden, may happen in Italy. Of course, it's happening. But here in America, it's happening too. And after all, it's us, we the people here in this country, we should have this right to change the government if we don't like it. And you tell me that you allow this city of Kingman, you citizens living, residents in the city of Kingman, you're allowing this to have a government that's completely destroying your businesses, by the way. When you have a sale tax almost 10% compared to the rest of the state, even in just in Mojave County, you know that many businesses, they will suffer. What do you think? You're going to buy a car now in Kingman? You can go to Bullhead, you can go to Howes, you can go in the county. You pay half of the sale tax almost. So that's the point. And more important, look now. You start to realize why never enough this money. Because look, they're spending non-stop. $90,000 or more for 3 months for a city manager, for a little town, Arizona. This is a theft. In my opinion, I decided to change, unfortunately, and I'm sad because, I wish it wasn't like that, but I must admit it. I changed my opinion about government. I believe, we need government. Guess what? I believe now we're better off without government because this is what we have. And I pull my case out. Yes, we're supposed to have a small government. Ideally, our founding fathers gave us probably the most, let's say, close to perfection experiment of what's supposed to be a form of government for the people, by the people. Small. But now this government's like a little baby that more he eats, more he gets hungry, more he gets big because more he eats. So more he eats, more he gets hungry. And more he gets hungry, more he gets bigger. This is the government. And now it's out of control. And now we are fearful of this baby because now he's a monster. And now he wants to start to eat our limbs and more, suck our blood. He's like a vampire. So really, let's analyze what is exactly doing this government for us. What is it doing really? I better be off. I mean, I wish we had the original small government that our founding fathers fought and died for. But right now, if I had to compare what we have today, we probably being left alone. I rather to be left alone and sort it out myself. What? The federal government, what is doing for you? Let's be honest here. Besides putting us in trillions of dollars of debt for the rest of our life and next generation, that's one thing the federal government did. Besides selling us out to the private Federal Reserve, besides putting us in completely endless, illegal, unconstitutional wars, besides poisoning, our waters with fluoride, look what they've done in other cities just with making us drink garbage. Besides, experimenting on us, on civilians without our consent. Look at the last 80 years of history with declassified documents. Or you want to talk about the geoengineering without our consent, spraying metals, heavy metals in the sky for the little experiments. Meanwhile, we are dying. Or you want to talk about the experiments that people died of nuclear tests just here in Mojave County, the Mojave downwinders. Let's forget about this. This is not a conspiracy. It's real. So what else? Harassing, regulating every aspect of your life, forcing vaccination on your children and yourself. Look already what's happening in California and many other states. Stealing, part of your income to redistribute, not even to others, that would be bad enough. No, to give it back to an entity called Private Federal Reserve just to pay the interest. I mean, this is really the government you need? I mean, think about it, county level. What are they doing for you at the end of the day? If you live in Mojave County, most of the roads are not even real roads. We live on dirt roads. Thank God, I like it. That's fine. What else? Yes, you have a sheriff. The sheriff will come most of the time just to take the report after everything's done. You're still left by yourself. Beside that, what do you have? A big tax bill every year. They also want to increase more and more and more because they need to pay more and more salaries, and they want probably more and more increase in these salaries compared to the private type of line of business. The private sector compared to the public sector in government, it's ridiculous. We have to work for our money here. The public, it is like living in a completely different twilight zone. So no, I believe at the end of the day, if I could, I'd like to have very limited government. And I don't want to say the word anarchist because people may misinterpret it. I believe in rule of law. But look at this one now. We don't even have any more rule of law. The rule of law means selective enforcement of the law. Only for us slaves. Meanwhile, the Clintons, the Bushes, and the Obamas, I mean, these people, they break law after law. Think about Obama, what he did. Think about Bush, what he did. You know, we're not talking about with the Republican here. You're not talking about with the parties, and I slam them all. I point the finger at all of them when they break the law. We know that they been committing crimes after crimes. But just now, look at Hillary. Just now, her. As I said, the uranium one, and everything from Benghazi, and everything else you can imagine. And forget about the trial, there's could be the trail of deaths that never been investigated. Talking about facts now, we have enough evidence. Should be already a trial. Nothing. Meanwhile, you don't forget to pay your property tax, slave. The moment that you won't pay the property tax, they will come and get you. Or get you home. That is not really your home anyway. And they'll kill you if you do not surrender. So that's my point. Do I sound a little harsh? Yes, I am. I'm sorry. But I'm still having hope. I have hope because I'm here. Because I believe education is our first type of tool, our weapon to defend our rights. We need to understand, we need to educate ourselves, we need to acknowledge what we are facing, what's going on here. Now, little break. We will go to our number second. We'll talk about guns. And as I said, though, I'm very excited for next Sunday to have Mrs. Cori Merryman on the show. And hopefully we can talk about all these questions about why she stole the shoes, since the article says that she pled guilty. So I want to ask questions, but please don't forget to send me your questions, okay? That's pretty much the story. Now, little break. I will play a little song just because I need to have a little break. I'm thirsty. I need a Zanna coffee. If you want to support this show, I appreciate your help. As you know, this show is not to have friends. I can have friends in my personal life, but this show is my only friend is the truth. That's it. And I have no party allegiances, and I don't care. I don't go out there, and my only allegiance is to the facts, the truth, and for me also this Constitution and Bill of Rights and the principle expressed in the Declaration of Independence. That's it. The rest couldn't care less. So I cannot really go out there and look for sponsors because I don't want to go there and compromise. So I need your help. If you can please go to www.zanna.us. You can download any of my books. You can see the links. Perfectly Crazy, my 69 love poems and erotic visions. Or you can go to download, of course, my music. You go to Amazon, you can find, or iTunes, just put my name, Gianluca Zanna, more than 100 songs. You can download. You can buy my albums. You can, of course, order my coffee on eBay, Zanna Coffee, or on Amazon. I mean, that's, you can help in the show doing things that normally you would enjoy. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do here. So, I appreciate your help. Now, little song and little break, and we go for our number 2. Don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
Love you all night long with all my heart, with all my soul. I want to love you all night long. Then, baby, I'll be gone. Sometimes in life we are too shy. We keep our Don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry. I want to love you all night long. With all my heart, with all my soul. I want to love you all night long.
Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.FM network. Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. This is the second hour, the hour about guns. Today I would like to go through a lot of news. There is a lot of interesting, exciting news. Some, they're of course very sad. They're going to also make us think, hopefully, about really what's going on. Because I believe we are facing something that it's so hard to believe. Just 20, 30 years ago, 10 years ago, somebody could tell you, by the way, really, we have no more rule of law. They will throw the book at any one of us. Think about it. You're in California, okay? You have a piece of plastic with some metal, just an object. Just because that piece of plastic or metal, whatever, can hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition, even if there is no loaded, even if it's no use, just because you own it, just because it's there, you did not, let's say, surrender it, you can be considered a felon or face felony charges. But an illegal alien can go out there, think about it, use a stolen gun, stolen from a federal agent, and shoot somebody. I don't care if, intentionally, non-intentionally, but shoot somebody. This poor innocent person, in this case a woman, dies. She got murdered. And is free. That's all I can say. I mean, think about it, just that. This is not a conspiracy. This happened just a few days ago. I'm sure you already heard on mainstream news about the result of this trial. The result of the trial of this illegal alien from San Francisco that he shot this poor woman and now is free. Think about it, if just an average American living in the state of in California, and he was using the gun to defend himself against evil. And you cannot really have permits to carry the gun, so think about it. He was using the gun to defend himself. In San Francisco, you cannot even defend yourself in your home. You will be arrested. You will face charges. But of course, we have this piece of scum of an illegal alien that is free and not even thinking about manslaughter. I mean, is there justice? And we're talking about now, of course, the Second Amendment, something that unfortunately does not apply anymore to all the states of this union. So something that I wanted to talk even briefly because, there is already so much talking about it, but still, I think it's important. It's important about what happened in California right now. It is another confirmation that we are not anymore under the rule of law. The law, it is very selectively enforced. If you are average American, law-abiding American, they will throw the book at you. Don't you dare to even own a high-capacity magazine, like they call it. I call it regular standard capacity magazine, but doesn't matter. In a state like California, they will arrest you. You will be considered a felon. But if you are an illegal alien, and if you steal a gun from a federal agent, and you shoot an innocent woman, you will be free. Maybe they give you also a free sandwich and free housing. So anyway, the news is, of course, now the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Texas has put a new arrest warrant for Jose Inez Garcia Zarate, the multiple felony illegal alien just acquitted of murder in the death of Kate Steinle. The warrant stems from Zarate's violating the conditions of his release from federal prison in 2015. Zarate has been convicted of illegally re-entering the United States as a criminal after being deported multiple times and sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison plus 3 more years of supervised release in addition to deportation. When he finished his prison term, however, he faced more serious drug charges in San Francisco and was sent there by the federal authorities. The sanctuary city then promptly dropped the drug charges, of course, and because they refused to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement, released the criminal alien right back onto the streets rather than honor any U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement detainer demanding to be returned. Less than 3 months after San Francisco protected Zarate from federal prosecution and deportation, he was arrested for the death of Kate Steinle, who bled to death after being struck by a bullet from a stolen gun in Zarate's possession. Despite confessing to shooting Steinle on a San Francisco pier, Zarate was convicted only of illegally possessing a firearm and will face only a short sentence in Sanctuary State, California. The jury, the majority of whom were San Francisco millennials and 1/4 of whom were immigrants, apparently believed the defense assertion that Zarate's stolen pistol went off accidentally. You know, first of all, talking about manslaughter, if a law-abiding gun owner shoots somebody by accident, is still responsible, still liable. Trust me, if you were a white American law-abiding person, not an illegal alien, I would sure the jury would have fried your ass. Let's start with, first of all, just because you steal a gun, that's a felony right there. Then stealing from a federal agent, my gosh, like you're stealing something from God's. And let's not forget, you killed somebody still. Anyway, this is amazing. The firearm charge, however, is enough to violate the original terms of Zarate's supervised release of the illegal re-entry conviction, which specify commit no further crimes and possess no firearms. Friday's warrant demands to be sent back to Texas anyway. The point is, this is an article from Breitbart. There is no justice. We law-abiding Americans, we must be so careful about everything. Even just owning a piece of plastic, consider it like, a piece of plastic, an object. But just because government says that's illegal, they make you a felon. But an illegal alien can kill somebody with a stolen gun and is out free. That's it. I rest my case. Now, good news. Let's look at the good news. There is this national reciprocity for concealed carry that passes the House. Okay? So we are coming to this point. The National Reciprocity for Concealed Carry passed the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday and also it will hopefully expected to receive a floor vote before the end of the year. The Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act of 2017 was introduced by Representative Richard Hudson from North Carolina on January the 3rd, 2017. It changes federal law that so concealed carry permits are treated like driver's licenses, making a permit from one state valid in the other 49. This would fix the complicated and often confusing patchwork of concealed carry laws currently in effect throughout the country. To put it simply, Hudson's bill allows the common man to defend himself and his family as he travels throughout the country. Now, these are great news. Listen, I don't like the idea of permits. I don't like the idea of something supposed to be a right. I need to go through the government and get a piece of paper or plastic to say, okay, now you can exercise the right. Because at the end of the day, it's still a privilege. But in this case, we got to look at what we can get, okay? Not everybody lives like in this state like Arizona, or maybe Vermont, or maybe Alaska, okay? And also now other new states where you have, of course, the right to keep and bear arms concealed without permit. Of course, when some conditions are met. Not everybody has that. So at least we should have able to exercise this right, even if we had to go through this sort of a permit. In my opinion, it's a good start to remind that we have a right. Even when we leave our state lines, we go to another state. This is still America, and the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment, still applies. Now, I believe also there are some benefits. As I said, during my CCW classes, we don't have to get an Arizona concealed carry permit for Arizona. You don't have to. But there are some benefits. And number one benefit I think we should all seek, or at least try to achieve, is information, education. I mean, we are responsible differently from the illegal aliens, like the one from San Francisco. We're supposed to be, and we are responsible for every bullet coming out of the barrel of our gun. So we should know the laws. We should know when we can display a gun, when we can use a gun for, we should be able to do everything to our best. And how do we do that? We need to look for more information, for education. That's why I believe these classes are so important. And that's why I want to remind you, we have always new classes. First of all, Zanna Enterprises LLC, I offer a sponsor free gun safety classes in Mojave County, Arizona, in collaboration also with Against All Enemies. So something I want to remind you. Gun safety is something that applies to everybody, even if you do not want to have a gun. I think you should know that, in my opinion, because you never know. One day you may be the person saving the day, okay? So we offer these gun safety classes. If you want to find out, go to freegunsafety.com. freegunsafety.com. But now we also have coming more and more Arizona CCW classes, okay? In Havasu, and also, of course, also in Golden Valley, and I'm also organizing now in Kingman. But more important, now we have few coming for the end of December in Havasu, and always in collaboration with my friend Patrick of Against All Enemies. So there is one, for example, let's see what is the next one we have. Exactly the end of the year, okay? It's going to be December the 30th, Saturday, 10 a.m. at the Aquatic Center. It's a gun show in Havasu City, and you can book your class calling Against All Enemies, 928-444-5778. And I remind you that these classes that we offer with Against All Enemies, we have incredible advantages. First of all, one of the most complete classes in the industry. I want to really give you as much information, more than just what the minimum requirement by the state. We go through curriculum that I believe it's very, very, it goes also to the basic ideas of how to introduce a gun into a fight. Even, of course, we cannot teach you those in just 5 hours, but how to present a gun, how to handle a gun, how to be sure that you understand the concepts of marksmanship. Okay? You are liable for every bullet coming out of the barrel. So you must understand that hitting the target or your opponent is not an act of God or an accident. You must know what you do. Okay? What to do. So we give you great information. Then we give you also an incredible value with the price. For about 5.5 hours or so of class, you pay $85 for one person. But if you bring a friend, you have, both of you, a discount of $20 each. $65. Then, think about it. Free fingerprints. Not many people, I don't know anybody really does that. Free fingerprints. You can do that at the end of the class if you want, or during the week with Against All Enemies. That's another value of about $15, $20. Then also what I do, I give you a free PDF files, a free file of all the information I'll share with you during these 5.5 hours. It's on a PDF, and I give you 2 files that you have all this, like more than 100 pages of information that you can always go back and read them again and learn. And then, of course, I really believe what is important. I do this extra because it is not just about, of course, making you happy, offering a great service for a great price, but because at the end of the day, I really truly believe this is a mission, at least for me, and then also for Against All Enemies. We want to have more law-abiding American people out there on the streets, armed with at least a firearm and knowledge. Then you become an asset. Okay? If you just have your gun, any ignorance, and a bad attitude, you become a liability, in my opinion. Okay? So that's why it's so important. I really want that we try to give you the best, because we believe that you could be the person that could save maybe us, maybe our family member, or just anybody. We can create a better society. So that's the story. So don't forget, if you want to go for this Saturday, December the 30th, class in Lake Havasu, contact Against All Enemies. You can also find them, of course, on Facebook, but 928-444-5778. Just go there, call Patrick, and say, Patrick, I want to join the class. Bring a friend. We have $40 discount for both of you. Think about it. All right? Now, little break. We come back. More news. Some ideas of training. There is so much to do. Seriously. I think we have so much we can share. The purpose of this hour, it is not just, of course, to share news, yes, but also to try to educate us. And I say us, because I learn too every time I'm on this show. Believe me or not, this is exactly the purpose. We try to learn from each other. Okay, do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca and Zanna.
It is time. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now with Arizona Concealed Carry Permit by Zanna Enterprises, LLC. Become a more responsible and educated gun owner. Carry legally concealed in 35 states. Carry permitted in restaurants where alcohol is served. Learn where and how you can legally carry a firearm in Arizona. Learn where you can use deadly force. Where can you display your gun or not for self-defense? Learn how to deal with law enforcement while carrying a firearm. Learn how to be aware of your surroundings and how to avoid a confrontation. Buy your gun without waiting for a background check. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now. Go to www.azccw.us. Go to www.azccw.us. Free for single mothers and people with disabilities.
Here we go. We are back. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM. And this is the second hour, the hour about guns. As I said, we talk about in this hour about many things. It comes down from news, also to, let's say, rights, how to exercise our rights, and of course also some tactics or, let's say, knowledge. Of course, this is a radio show, okay? We cannot give you really the information that we could give you probably if you attend one of our CCW classes or gun safety classes, also just, firearms training classes, okay? But at least we try to give you the idea what you should know. Before we go ahead, I wanted to remind you why it's so sad when government will give you the opportunity to exercise your right under selling it back under a privilege, and then will use that situation to remove other rights. Probably some of you say, what are you talking, Luke? Are you drunk? No, I'm not drunk. Let me specify. I do not like personally the use of marijuana. I said that many times on my show. I used it a couple of times when I was in my teenagers, and I say, no, this is something that doesn't go for me. Sorry, I don't like it. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm not saying that a free human being should not have that right. That's your right. You should have the right to eat, smoke, and drink whatever you think you can afford, whatever you think is good for you, always with the respect of not infringing other people's rights. So that means right now I want to have a bottle of wine, enjoy my glass of wine, because that's what works for me, make me relax. I have that right. I should have no government telling me if I can do it or not, or give me a license to exercise that right. It's my body. It's my money. I buy the bottle of wine, or I grow that grapes, and I drink as much as I want. Of course, if I get sick, you should not pay. Society shouldn't pay for me. We know that. And of course, when I'm drunk, normally never really happens. I never really get drunk. I'm just relaxed. And still, I'll never drive because I will never endanger other people's rights. In this case, the right of life. But when it comes down to marijuana, like a plant, honestly, in my opinion, it's fact by, not even opinion, it's a fact. It gives also, the statistic give you numbers that is much less dangerous than alcohol. Yes, many, many less people. I mean, I don't know if any people really died on marijuana. You may be a little stoned, you may be a little slow, retarded, whatever, but I never heard people dying for marijuana. I know many people dying of alcohol, millions of people dying of alcohol around the world every year. But still, that's not the point. My point is now what's happening right now in the country, in the state of Hawaii. Hawaii, it's a very, they want to call themselves liberal. I would call fascist. Okay, they're nothing about liberty. It's not liberal. It's fascist. It's progressive fascism. But, the state of Hawaii give you the privilege to have medical marijuana, that, as I said, is not a right anymore, because you need to have the little medical card, a permit, to say, please, can I, smoke that plant? Yeah, only if you comply with this set of regulations. Then, of course, now they tell you, they send you a letter. If you are one of these marijuana card holder, surrender your firearms. Government now will be confiscating guns from medical cannabis users. Gun owners in Hawaii who legally use medical cannabis have been told they have 30 days to voluntarily surrender their firearms to the police. There is a letter. Directly, this is not just a conspiracy. Police Department, City and County of Honolulu. Dear Mr. This letter is to inform you that under the provision of the Hawaii Revised Statutes, HRS Section 134-7, you are disqualified from firearms ownership, possession, or controlling firearms. Your medical marijuana use disqualifies you from ownership of firearms and ammunition. Okay? If you currently own or have any firearms, you have 30 days upon receipt of this letter to voluntarily surrender your firearms permit and ammunition. Of course, permit, you must have a permit there. A medical doctor's clearance letter is required for any future firearms application. I mean, think about that. This is sincerely Susan Ballard, chief of police. Okay? Heil Hitler. That's what they are. Gestapo. Yes, I said that. And I mean it. Think about it. What did they do, the Nazi? After they passed the gun control, they decide to confiscate firearm. They decide to send letters, or maybe just showing up at people's home. Once you register your gun, once they know that you have a gun, next they come and get it. Once you register your little card for marijuana, they will use it against you to take other rights. As I said, I don't use marijuana. I never really enjoy it, even when I was in my 20s. One time I used it twice, and I said, this stuff is not for me. Simple as that. But for sure, one more reason I wouldn't use it today, just because I don't want to give my rights away, my Second Amendment right away, because that's what they're trying to use. They will try to let you now have it in many states like Colorado, Hawaii, even Arizona. Yes, you finally can have that little privileged slave. You can smoke finally a plant that's supposed to be natural, and we're going to let you smoke only if you have a permit, you pay a fee, you have a card, and as a good slave, now you can smoke it. But then we will say, by the way, because you're using this plant, you will not be able anymore to have a gun. There we go. So that's my point. I hope it's clear. It is very sad. It is very sad. Now, what do? I think it's time for this country to really start to, first of all, understand that we are really in a very, let's say, dangerous moment. Why I'm saying that? Because differently from maybe 100 years ago, yes, we had other problems. Maybe we didn't have the information we have today with the internet, things like that. But still, the average American, even with all the problems, it wasn't so brainwashed like today. The new generation of Americans is the result of a scientific, sociological, let's say, planning, long-term planning, to create a race of slave between the mass indoctrination in the school system, that we know it's not about education, it's about re-education. The television, it's a media of mass control. Food, fluoride, GMO, garbage that you eat, lifestyle. Then you put also, of course, the propaganda that you have in the entertainment business. You know, it's good to be a slave. It's good not to ask many questions. No, don't be, it's not cool to stand up for your rights anymore. You just look like an idiot. The other day I was walking at Walmart. I see one young man, supposed to be a young man. Seriously, when I was young, sometimes I used to, dress kind of funny. That's fine. But I always was standing up for my rights. This guy looked like it was cool to be looking like an idiot. Seriously. You look like an idiot. You think it's cool to be look like an idiot. Guess what? You are an idiot. You are an idiot slave. That's what you are. So that's my point. This new generation that we have here in America, I believe has no chance to stand against really all this tyranny. Even to understand that it's a tyrannical thing going on. They may think it's just all okay. It's cool to be a slave. So, when it comes down to the Second Amendment, I believe this is going to be one of the most important challenges we are facing right now as Americans, to stand up and to keep fighting. Now, as I said many times, I don't believe that the Second Amendment, the main mission, the main purpose, it is to defend yourself against average criminals. No. Many times, most of the times, a 2x4 would be enough. Of course, it's good. It's good to have, you're right to have a Glock or have a rock in your hand. All right to have a Glock. All right to have a gun. And also they say the gun is a big equalizer, the great equalizer. You can get a person with a handicap, or just, let's say, a woman, or maybe just a man against many aggressors, and still have a chance. But yeah, as you know, the main reason of the Second Amendment, it is not for hunting, it's not for sport, it's not even for self-defense. It's to defend your freedom, to defend your rights, and also our country, I believe. Politicians, of course, they don't want to know that. They think it's just about for sport purposes. Screw that. Okay? But now, it's good to know that there is, for example, out there, a good use of training and firearms against evil, against home invaders. Armed homeowner comes out on top against 4 robbers. Let's see if I can play this little audio video from this show. I think it's important, okay? Stay there.
We begin with a story of a crime victim taking matters into his own hands to protect his family. It all started around 10:30 when 4 teens walked up to a home on Remington Springs Drive and Desert Marigold Drive and pulled a gun on a man in his garage. But the man they targeted was armed and ready. Channel 2's Brandon Walker spoke with that homeowner tonight and joins us with this amazing story. Brandon?
Yes, Sarah, Alexander Borrego is a retired Marine, but he says he was ready to handle this situation. That doesn't mean that it sits easily with him. The outcome, that is, one of those 4 teens being shot.
I was sitting in the chair. I had my phone.
Alexander Borrego says he didn't have a chance to look up before he says he was cornered. 4 males, teens, it turns out.
One came alongside through here, and then next thing I know, I had a gun to the back of my head.
A neighbor surveillance camera recorded the 4 Friday night before they ambushed Borrego, who happened to be sitting outside his home.
They told me to get up, so I stood up. My garage door was open, so my main concern was my family at that point.
His wife and children who were inside the house. Borrego says the teens grabbed him, pulled him, but little did they know.
I had my pistol in in the front pouch of my hoodie.
From there, Borrego says he did what he had to do.
As soon as I got my hand on my pistol, I turned towards the guy that had the gun in the back of my head, and I immediately moved the pistol away from my head as I began firing at those guys.
If Borrego seems pensive, reflective, he is, because of what happened next.
I shot one in the chest and then in the neck.
He survived. The same surveillance video that recorded their approach captured their sprint. The teen shot ran to, authorities say. His mother rushed him to the hospital.
I don't have hate for them.
The thought of what happened sits heavily on Borrego. He had to protect his own.
It's sad, but, hey, I had my pistol on me, and, thank God for that.
And this neighborhood is patrolled 24/7. I happened to speak to the chief security guard here, and he tells me that he worked to track down those 4 teens. As for the one who was shot, at last check, he was in serious condition at the hospital. We are live tonight in Northeast Harris County. I'm Brandon Walker.
Here we go. I mean, what is so important about this news? Of course, the good news that one man was able to save his family and himself against 4 aggressors. But the also important thing, you see, teenagers, think about this was happening, like, for example, in a different zip code. Maybe California, maybe San Francisco. Oh, this man probably would be, 100% would be prosecuted, even if he had to defend himself, just because they were teenagers. It's very important that we start to understand that teenager criminals, they come on every shape, every race, and even a 14, 15-year-old kid can kill you. In Concho, Arizona, East Arizona, just a couple months ago, there was a home invasion, and one teenager, 15-year-old kid, shot a woman, the homeowner, and killed her. So, I understand it's human. We don't want, as law-abiding gun owners, we don't want to use our firearm unless it is as a tool of last resort. See, nobody really must be happy to say, oh, I had to use it. Ever. We don't want that. After all, we don't want to kill anybody. We don't even use the word killing in our dictionary. We want to stop the threat. At the same time, though, you realize you need to overcome these even doubts. You need to start to train yourself in visualization. You can have a 14-year-old kid, teenager, that easily would be happy to kill and rape your daughter. And when they have a gun, I don't care, they have a gun in their hand, they point it at your face. It is no more time to negotiate, in my opinion. There's not much more to say. They made their decision. So that's my point. We always try to avoid the confrontation. Always. At the same time, we must realize that there is a point when you have no more other options. And of course, you will see that. You will decide that. You will visualize that. But the point is when somebody brings a gun on your face and you have 4 of them, like a pack of coyotes waiting for you, and your family is inside, you know very well if something happens to you, they will go after them too, eventually. So you do what you think you have to do. Okay? This is my point. So stop thinking about colors or age or even, let's say, male, female. Doesn't matter anymore anything. When somebody will start to use violence against you, you must act accordingly, and you must stop thinking, even have the remorse at the end. I'm sorry, you will feel bad, but the point is, you tried. They did start that action against you. I mean, you were minding your business. You were at your home. They came after, they pull a gun on your face. I'm sorry. And 4 of them, I believe at this point, the game is pretty much over. Now, something I would like to start to talk about it. I think is very important. There is more than just shooting a gun, because that part, it's easy, or at least easier. Everybody can shoot a gun, or a firearm in general, rifle. It's about marksmanship. You can learn, you can be good, you can be fast, hopefully you can be accurate. Yes, you can. But what is really important, in my opinion, it is the most important thing, it is the mindset. The combat mindset. That at the end of the day, you are the weapon. You realize that even if you got hit, even if you are wounded, you will still be in the fight. Because the moment that you fail, there is no reset button. There is no like, oh, let's try another one, like a video game. You know that family members, innocents, or yourself will pay the consequences. That's the bottom line. So that's one thing we need to start to train. I believe that to become a fighter, you need qualities that more than just shooting straight at the range. And what are these qualities of a gunfighter who wants to use a firearm in self-defense, of course? 3 elements I would suggest you to look into it. First of all, mastering the techniques. You must know the techniques. You must know how to be efficient, how to be sure that you can you can hit the target in as fast as you can guarantee the hits. Number 1. Number 2, you must have a reliable gun. But don't spend too much money on that gun. People out there sometimes, they like to spend thousands of dollars on a rifle or even a handgun. And then they don't have the skills. Or they don't have the combat mindset. That is the 3rd element. So the point is, you must have that type of mindset. The mindset, it means that you are the most peaceful man out there, the person who wants to normally avoid any confrontation, more than the average. You always try to avoid it, even when you have the right to stand the ground. Try to avoid it. But there is a thin line that is become very thick when they don't give you any more opportunity to avoid it, and they will force it. Like, this guy was saying, it was forcing him. He had no more place to go. At that point, when you have no other option, you will use every atom, every cell of your body in transforming yourself in their worst enemies. All of us have, let's say, a primordial, violent instinct. And thank God, we control it. Civilization, civility, that's why we're supposed to be civil. If we don't like somebody, we don't go out there and smash their head on the ground. If we try always to avoid violence, that's what normal people, decent people would do. But the point is, we still have the DNA of our ancestors, people that probably thousands of years ago, or not so long ago, even a few thousands years ago, or even a few hundred years ago, if they had to survive, they had to use violence. Think about it. Think about people living in the caves. Think about people living, looking for food. You need to use violence. There was not the option. Fighting the enemies of another tribe. That's it. You must have the instinct. The instinct can be very important if you use and control it in a situation of self-defense. And that's exactly what it is, the combat mindset. When you have no more other option, at that point you will become the aggressor. You will become his nightmare. You will become the animal that you are. We are all animals somehow. Still would be done in a controlled, professional way. Still would be done, if you can, in a way that you know what you're doing. But the point is, you have no more regrets. You should have no more thinking. The moment that you think at that point, you're dead. So think about that. There was a movie, probably I think it was the last John Wayne movie I watched in Italy. It's called The Shootist, 1976. There was a phrase that took my attention in this movie and explains the concept of combat mindset. And this is when John Wayne says, I'm reading it now, I found most men aren't willing. They bat an eye or draw a breath before they shoot. I will not. This is exactly the point. Think about it. Once you have decided that you've been given no more options, there is no more time for debates or thinking or doubts. That's what makes the difference between a winner and also a loser in this situation, a gunfight. But be sure, you have no other option. You try everything. So, at that point, what would be the final thing you should be able to do? To be focusing on the battle for your life. This is a fight for your life. So this is pretty much what could be the summary of how to acquire, well, to work and train your combat mindset. And I always say visualization is very important. Okay? Visualization means that you need to start to visualize scenes. Like, for example, this man, this former Marine, coming back home. 4 teenagers pointing a gun in his face. He was able to fight them and overcome even the idea that just because they were teenagers, he didn't freeze. After all, these teenagers had demonstrated that already crossed the line. They pointed a gun at him. They are like a pack of coyotes ready to gang against anybody they can prey on. So that's the point. Now, talking about criminals, this is something important. I talk also during my CCW classes. In my humble experience, I always find that there are 2 types of criminals. One are the coyotes type. Means they don't look like coyotes. I mean, they're no animals, but yeah, pretty much the same mindset. What does it mean? Coyotes means that they are like, first of all, like a gang. They walk in pack. They are weak. Many of them, they are weak. Okay? They don't want to fight, really, unless they have no other option. They want to take you off guard. They want to take you so fast down that they have the advantage. They're not courageous. Probably they're not even that strong, but they know that when they outnumber you, they will take what they want from you, and eventually, if they have to, they also take your life. What happened? These are probably the best criminals that you can face, because you can avoid the confrontation. That's the number one thing we should look as a law-abiding gun owners, to avoid the confrontation. We can avoid the confrontation if we are aware. And just the fact that we are aware, they don't like that, you know. They don't like that, because at the end of the day, when you are aware, you are not an easy target anymore. You can be taken off guard. That's what they want. But when you are aware, you know that they're coming. So that's the bottom line. So that's one thing. Be aware. And these wannabe gangsters or whatever, criminals, aggressors, normally they work together, more than one. They go in a pack, 1, 2, 2 or 3, 4, like in this situation. They will try to avoid it. They don't want to face it. Then there is the other side, the other type, of criminal. It's called the wolf. I call it the wolf. But the wolf is very simple. The wolf is a hunter. They will track you down, no matter if you are aware or not. They will track you down. And guess what? They will enjoy the hunt. If they know that you know, that's fine. They will try to get you no matter what, and probably they will give us some enjoyment. How do you face the face the wolf? Of course, if you can, avoid it. If you are able enough to stay away and avoid it, that would be number one. By the end of the day, if the wolf really try to follow you in a way that he decided that you are the prey, it will come after you eventually. So hopefully you have law enforcement will get them for you, or gather, but not necessarily. So the point is, you need to be ready to face it, to face the struggle, to face this confrontation. And hopefully you're going to be more determined, more skilled than he is or she is. Okay? That's the point. That's why I always say, when you train Don't train anymore just thinking you're shooting at paper targets. That's the first layer. Yes, you want to start from basics. You will have your gun or firearm, whatever you have, and you have a paper target that normally doesn't shoot back, normally doesn't run around shooting it back or ducking down, moving. It's there, steady. And you will be pretty cool. After all, maybe you're on Sunday afternoon, smoking your cigar or just drinking your soda, and you will shoot at that target in a great, probably, temperature, wearing your hat and very calm, no adrenaline in your body. That's not real training. That's just the foundation that you should start with to learn the marksmanship. Then you should start to incorporate timed. Time is the essence, with safety, of course, and accuracy. That's why you need to start to graduate towards target, acquisition, and, more important, introduction of your firearm and hitting the target under time constraint. You need to start to make realization. Then you start to incorporate with the time moving off the X. Because I never see anybody in real life being shot and being there still shooting back. I don't care how fast you are. Somebody shooting at you, you got to move while you're shooting. So you got to learn that too. And then, of course, all the different other skills that you must think, plus the stress. Stress means that under stress, we will perform 50% less than our best ideal day at the range. That's a fact. So we need to start to incorporate some stress in our training. How do we do that? Well, start to, first of all, visualize. Think about some acting classes out there. I'm not an actor, but I read about some acting schools. They really stress a lot into visualization. I mean, if you need to, let's say, live a dramatic scene in a movie, you must think something really stresses you out, maybe coming from your personal life, your past, or even present, or even maybe future. Just visualize it. So just don't think that target out there is a paper target. Give it a name. Give it a story. Give it a drama. Give the idea that if you fail, you will may pay with your life, or even worse, I say, somebody else that you love may pay with their life. For me, that would be even worse. So that's the point. So that's very important. That's why I believe when you are training for self-defense, you should have a lot of things to start to work on. Marksmanship, of course. Attitude. That means you always want to be the law-abiding person. You want to always avoid the confrontation, but combat mindset. That's vital. Vital. All right. This is pretty much a little bit the segment about I wanted to talk to you today about it. Now, a little bit of a break, and then we'll go through more news. Now, I wanted to remind you that U.S. Arms, the new project that I'm very proud to share with you, is working and alive right now in Havasu City. Yes, you can go to usarms.tv, usarms.tv, and you can figure it out exactly what's going on. We have a great production of lowers, AR-15 lowers, and more things coming out. So I want to play this little audio. It's a new spot, commercial spot. And after this, we'll conclude the hour about guns. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. This is the second hour. Do not go away.
U.S. Arms by Zanna Enterprises, LLC. Manufacturing firearms to defend freedom. Mil specs. Quality. Affordable. Innovative. Made in the USA. All our firearms and parts are 100% mil specs. Compatible and interchangeable with military-grade components. Proudly making, inspecting, and testing every firearm before shipping to our customers and dealers. Lifetime warranty on all our lowers. Affordable. Innovative. Using and always researching the latest technologies to manufacture better, stronger firearms. Made in the USA. Complete AR-15 lowers starting at $124.99. Located at 2152 McCulloch Boulevard North, Suite B. Lake Havasu City, Arizona.
Available at www.usarms.tv.
Awaken the warrior in you with Scotty, the new AR-15 rifle by Zanna Enterprises, LLC. I am Scotty, Norse goddess of winter, hunting, and just revenge. I am Scotty. I am Scotty. I am Scotty. I am chambered in 223 Wild and can shoot 556 NATO and 223 Remington. My trigger is crisp and fast. An average of 4 pounds out of the box. Call me a fast girl. I can shoot over 5 rounds in 1 second. But I'm focused too. With only iron sights and no bench, I can hit 1 square inch at 25 yards. I am Scotty. I am Scotty. I am Scotty. I bow down to no one. I am independent. I am fierce. I am a warrior. My Viking spirit has been reborn in a fabulous new body, all made in the USA. I am Scotty. I am Scotty. I am Scotty. I can withstand a loaded Humvee running over me and still look pretty. I am Scotty. Find me at www.ar15shop.us. I am Scotty. 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 Find me at www.ar15shop.us. I am Scotty.
Here we go, we are back. This is the final segment of the second hour. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca and Zanna, the hour about guns. Now, you heard my little new commercial that is not really new about Scotty, the new AR-15 rifle by Zanna Enterprises. Now, let me give you the short story. I just got the approval by the U.S. trademark just this week for registration of Scotty with a symbol. Okay, the official symbol of Scotty that will be used for firearms, and it's trademark, U.S. trademark. And now, finally, with the new U.S. Arms lower, I will start the production of their complete rifle. Meanwhile, I want to remind you that you can get the upper, the Scotty upper, at ar15shop.us. That's an incredible upper, seriously, and not because I make it. I manufacture it. I think you're going to like it. It's incredible. The quality, how you can watch the video of shooting it. I really believe it's a great product and affordable. And you have the complete upper with free shipping, the Scotty upper. With also, we will give you also the sights, front and rear sights for just $390 and free shipping. Think about it. And just watch the video. Go to ar15shop.us, ar15shop.us, and you can find the Scotty upper. Now, what we have then, working on the new U.S. Arms lower, I'm getting right now my new variances with the ATF, and I will give you the complete rifle with my U.S. Arms lower together with the upper. Complete rifle is called the Scotty complete rifle. All right, so the idea is, and by the way, the rifle will be available on the market for less than $600 and free shipping. And the lower has a lifetime warranty if you don't mess around. When I say lifetime warranty, means that you leave the parts exactly the way they are, and if they break, we'll be fixing them. But that's the point. Check it out. The new U.S. Arms lower, they're amazing. Amazing. Now, one sad thing about what's happening in Europe, okay? And by the way, it's happening everywhere. But of course, Europe seems like really we're going many, many levels deeper. Sweden, nobody help woman raped by 20 Muslim migrants. Neighbors have learned not to see or hear too much. This is November the 28th, 2017. A rape case so brutal that even Swedish mainstream media is reporting about it shows signs of total collapse of moral and culture in Swedish society. Very sad. Very sad. You know. There is an article on Jihad Watch, and is, by the way, it's updated. You can see it. The point is, it's happening everywhere now in Europe. The people supposed to have the right to defend themselves and their life, they never had the right, but not even a privilege. And the sad thing now, really, violence is erupting, especially these cases. And I've been talking about that many times. These are not just some isolated cases. Now, the statistic from the government in Europe, especially in Sweden, 80% of all these rapes are from this new breed of immigrants. That they are no immigrants, they're no migrants, they are invaders, in my opinion, by design, with the complicity of the government. Okay, think about it. Now you have a woman walking on the street of Sweden, being raped by 20 people. Nobody says a word. Nobody does anything. Nobody called the cops. Everybody tried to avoid even to be involved. This is more than just a situation that could be, bad about for gun rights or self-defense rights. This is about now beyond that. This is about what type of humanity do we have right now. Think about it. What type of humanity do we have right now? If we're going to be judged by acts like this. And this is not the first case. There are people out there that they completely see a homeless dying on the street. And just because, for example, they're walking and somebody's on front of their street or their sidewalk, they just move on the other side. There was a case I talked like a couple of weeks ago, I guess. This woman with their children, there was a victim of this shooting in North California, mass shooting. And she was dying. And she was driving her car, tried to drive to the hospital. And she stopped and she said, please, help me. And 5 people completely ignore her. And somebody told her, hey, by the way, I'm running to work, I'm late. I mean, this woman is dying. That's the humanity right now we have become. And that's why I say it is not just about guns. It is about human beings. Of course, I wish, the Swedish brothers and sisters had the right to defend themselves, having firearms like we have here in Arizona. And I'm sure these 20 subhumans who raped this woman, maybe somebody would have taken care of stopping their threat, stopping their evil act. Okay? Unfortunately, in Europe, and especially in Sweden, no, you have no right to defend yourself with deadly force. You have no right to own a firearm, period. So that's the story. All right, my friends, all I can say, we live here in a limited time in this world. No matter where you are, I'm in Arizona, you may be in Europe, you may be in another country, we're still here facing the same type of tyranny. Some of us, we may be a little luckier. Yes, I right to be in Arizona, even with all the problems we may have, at least I still have the right to keep and bear arms without government permits. And that's, I think, is priceless, my opinion. So sometimes I think, where should I go? I have no place to go. This is it. But at the same time, I pray for you, my brothers and sisters around the world, that you should have this right to defend your life and your freedom in any means, even especially with a firearm. All right, don't go away. Ready for our number 3. We have an incredible guest, great lady from Las Vegas, who also will be a model for my new video and photo for my rifle. Don't trade on us, the Freedom Rifle. Slaves are never armed. I'm not a slave. She's an incredible black woman from Las Vegas and originally from Tennessee. Do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. people who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit freedomlovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. freedomlovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
Here we go. Guys and girls, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca and Zanna on KTOX 1340 AM and also 104.1 FM. This is the final hour, the hour about love. The last few weeks, as you know, I've been kind of rushy. Almost at the end of the hour, I had to go. I'm still, believe it or not, in the middle of this humongous move. I had to move 11 years on my life and businesses, so imagine. So it's been rough, you know, because I didn't want to really somehow delay the show too much, so I still want to be there every Sunday for you, I mean, for me too. I mean, I'm here to try to do what I can to share what I feel to share. So we are here for each other. But sometimes I must tell you, it's been kind of an effort because I have so many things piled up while running the businesses and at the same time, of course, moving and being here. So it's been a little rough and I apologize. But finally, this Sunday, I wanted to go back a little bit to the original purpose of this final hour. This is the hour about love. We can talk a little bit about everything you want. Yes, I may also give you some serenade. Maybe I will give you a new recipe. But more important, I want to hear today from somebody else. And, you know, I really believe when we talk about love, I don't know, I'm a guy, okay, and I'm a straight guy. So I like to talk about with a woman. I like to pick her brain. I like to pick her emotions. And also have ask her opinions about different topics, you know, especially when a woman that appreciates the Second Amendment and that she has a free spirit. I know that she has a lot of things that we may agree when it comes down also to politics, or at least, you know, the way we look at life. I believe politics, it is not an abstract concept, but something pretty much connected to our lifestyle, how we want to live, free or slaves. Her name is Karmyn, and she's from Las Vegas. She's also a Facebook friend of mine. I'm very proud of her that she's my friend because I really appreciate her input and also her different type of sometimes comments. Anyway, let me bring her on. Karmyn from Las Vegas. Are you there?
I'm here.
Anyway, thank you very much, Karmyn, because, you know, we talk back and forth via Facebook and, of course, over the phone. We have a project that we're going to work together pretty soon. You're going to be one of my models for my Don't Tread on Us, the Freedom Rifle that I'm relaunching now with my new U.S. Arms. So I'm very thankful, first of all, that you accepted the offer, and I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you asking me. I feel very honored
to
be a part of this.
I like to have, honestly, I mean, I like everybody. I don't care, guys, girls, that they can be representing, you know, the spirit of my rifle. But when it comes down firearms and women, I believe it's even something more powerful when a woman somehow display with pride and also with a purpose. You know, the firearm can be a tool that you can do anything you want. You can, you know, create devastation and death, or you can save life, and it can also defend your freedom. And also, you know, as a woman, as a mother, correct me if I'm wrong, I know you're a mother, right?
Yeah.
I think the motherly instinct to defend her children, it is something that, you know, we don't walk around with private security or with police in our back. So sometimes we have to face challenges of life. And I think a mother with a firearm, if trained, I think is a very powerful message to send out. Tell me a little bit about you and firearms. How do you feel about the Second Amendment, right? I mean, do you exercise it? Do you believe it? You think something maybe is antiquated? What is your opinion?
Well, I totally 100% support the Second Amendment. And a little backstory, my mother was born and raised in this little city called Pulaski, Tennessee, which is also the birth of the Ku Klux Klan.
Wow.
So, so my grandfather always had guns, and so I come from a family that's, you know, very much in, you know, support of the Second Amendment. And actually, my grandfather, when I was a little girl, he told me that when I got older, he was going to teach me how to shoot guns. Unfortunately, he passed away before I got old enough. He was 8 when I passed away. When he passed away, I mean. And so, you know, I feel like I missed an opportunity with him, but it's still something that, you know, I 100% support, and especially living in Vegas because there's some colorful personalities that live here. So just knowing that, you know, having the right to bear arms, to me, it just makes me feel a lot safer.
You know, I didn't mention it because normally I don't really make any deal. For me, I look at people as people, you know, good people or bad people. That's it. But, you know, people, in this case, we are talking about, also like to ask your opinion because you are a woman, an American woman. It also happens to be a black woman. So I'm sure you have maybe some different experiences in your life, as you mentioned, the Ku Klux Klan or other past experience when you were younger, especially, you know, when you connected to a right, like the Second Amendment. You know, I was born in Italy. I learned these things later. But what I learned, and correct me if I'm wrong, the first real gun control in history of this country was created especially after the Civil War to be sure the black people, they did not have the right to be armed. That's because, after all, you know, you don't want slaves be armed. That's exactly the message. Am I right or wrong? Because I know that for sure was when it happened during the typical license, marriage license. The people, they are so excited to say, oh, let me go get a marriage license. That was created exactly to be sure that they could control interracial marriages between black and white. Is that true?
100% true. It's all about control. Any type of law or restriction, you have to look at the backstory of it, and in almost all cases, and I can't think of any exceptions off the top of my head, it's all about control. And it's very scary how there's so many people nowadays who think that all these regulations and, you know, all this control is such a great thing. And it's just very alarming because it's like they didn't pay attention to history and realize why it is. They basically regurgitated what they were taught, but they're not reading in between the lines and realizing, you know, why all this stuff is here. It's like you don't need anyone's permission to live your life. Assuming you're not harming anybody, of course.
Yes. And, you know, something interesting, because at the time when they started the gun control, you know, the typical licensing and also the marriage license, there was just for a specific target ethnic group, okay? There was the black people. They wanted to be sure that, you know what, yes, you may have some rights, but guess what? No, you're not going to get armed, and if you want to get married, you're not going to do as you wish. You need to ask for a permit. Now people don't understand, or maybe some do, I'm not saying everybody, but we are all now potential enslaved, because the point that we all need to ask for a license to get married. I mean, why should I go to the government if I want to, let's say, have a private, personal, consensual relationship with somebody who's over 18? Why should I go ask for a permit to pay on top to say, okay, now I can marry you because the government, my master, told me so? That's insane. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
it's absolutely insane. I totally agree. It's insane, and I don't understand how there's people out there who don't see how it's insane, and you know, and trying to explain it. I sometimes feel like I'm talking to a brick wall because they just don't get it, and it's very scary and disturbing to me.
You know, the Stockholm syndrome. I'm sure you're familiar with that. It is real.
Yes.
It's happening here too. You know, as much as we are completely being so fed into the system to believe that that's pretty much normal. And at the end of the day, we want to worship and love and defend our masters. And don't you dare to say something that is critical to the system, because they don't need the enforcers to come after you. Our own people, the same slaves like us, no, it's true. Remember something, slaves, they used to watch slaves. I mean, they didn't have enough resources. Even look at the Gestapo, you know. Yeah, you do have the Gestapo. Yes, you have the Nazi, wherever they are, even in the Russian, you know, in the camps, any regime, doesn't matter. They always use their own at the end to police each other. They put us against each other, and they'll be sure that they brainwash enough idiots out there that they don't need their enforcers. They will turn you in, or they will make you feel, even just mentally, like you are crazy, or like, you know, how dare you. I mean, I had somebody on my page on Facebook, you know, a lady from California, bless her heart. You know, we've been friends for many years. But, you know, my last post, the last few months, I've been just stating facts. That the fact is, yes, we are better off than many other parts of the world, and that's why I'm here. Otherwise, I would stay in Italy. But reality is, this is no more the America. Even with the faults, even with the different type of, still imperfections, but completely different from what the America that our founding fathers envisioned as a small government, as a government also based on a constitution to constrain the government, and to a basic Bill of Rights that's supposed to declare and announce some rights that government should not touch. We are gone from there. I mean, just the fact now that, as we said, you need to ask for the license. You need to ask for the license in the morning you wake up. I mean, if you cannot work if you don't have a license. I mean, you cannot even drill a well if you don't have a license. I mean, how many licenses do you need? And property. You want to talk about really being the illusion of ownership. I mean, you think you own a house? You don't. You're renting it. That's the point. So don't you think? I mean, I was just stating these facts. And this woman, and as I said, that's fine. That's what you think about me. She started, for me, one thing, though, when you start with the wrong, if you don't like me, that's fine. I respect that. But if you say, well, if you don't like it here, why don't you go back to Italy? That's exactly the bigot attitude that I do not approve anymore. I have no other place to go. This is my country. I burned my Italian passport. And if you want to disagree with me about facts, that's fine. So I got a little mad there, I must admit it. So anyway, we are no more friends. But the point is, the reality is, are we really free, Karmyn? Are we really free, or are we living in illusion? What do you think?
It's a total illusion. I don't believe we have freedom at all. I mean, for the fact that, someone can, because they choose to put a substance in their body that the government doesn't approve of, they can be put in jail and have a felony record. And then when they get out and they try to, get a job to support themselves, and they can't get a job because they have a felony over putting something in their body that wasn't hurting anyone but themselves. No, there is no freedom here. Yeah, sure, you can talk about relative freedom compared to other parts of the world, like, certain countries in the Middle East. Sure, we do have more freedom than them, but at the same time, we're not truly a free country. I don't believe it. I
mean, let's make I always like to, create the case like in court, okay? I'm no lawyer, but I almost was there when I was in Italy. I almost finished my years. My point, let's make the case here. First of all, if you're really free, you should own your body. You should be owner of your body, always with the basic rule that we set, that we should never endanger others. So let's say I'm really, truly free. I am the master of my body. People may say God. That's fine. If you believe in God, that's your right. But beside that religious aspect, you should be on your body, not the government. Am I right or wrong?
100% right.
Now, when the government tells you what is good for you and will force you with coercion and fear of a fine or more, because if you don't pay the fine, they will come after you probably with the guns. Let's say seatbelt. Seatbelt for me is the first infringement of my ownership of my body. People can say, yes, it's for your safety, fine, but you are not my mom. You are not my dad. A government, it is not my mom. So they should never force me to put a seatbelt, especially when I have my own private health insurance and my private life insurance. So I'm not going to cost anything to society. Don't you think right there we have a little problem? They start to make a point that they claim ownership over your body.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. And then if you don't wear your seatbelt and, the police catch you not wearing your seatbelt, then they write you a ticket and you have to pay a fine for choosing not to wear a seatbelt, which I find completely ridiculous. Yeah. If you don't want to wear a seatbelt, don't wear it. But, don't police have better things to do than to pull people over for not wearing a seatbelt and for other minor issues? Exactly. Like, I would much rather than focus on, the real criminals that are actually hurting people, such as, rapists, murderers, those types of criminals, not somebody who chose not to wear a seatbelt. It's absolutely ridiculous if you ask me.
Exactly. My point, exactly, what are we endangering? I mean, there is no other people that we have tried to, damage or deprive of their rights. It's our body. It's our car. It is really, for me, right there we have lost. People may complain today about many other things that we are losing. That's fine. But when we lost that opportunity, we gave the government the opportunity to really to claim ownership over us. And the same story with the helmet. I mean, at least I understand if you are on a bike, I would suggest you to wear a helmet. It's a smart thing to do.
Of course.
But it should not be in Arizona, we don't have it as a mandatory. But I know many other states, you would be stopped immediately and fined and eventually arrested if you don't pay the fine or whatever, So that's another point. Now let's talk about the income, because everybody's now think that we have to pay your fair share of your personal income. I'm not talking about corporate. I'm talking about your personal income. I mean, before 1913, people may have forgotten that you didn't have to pay anything from your personal income. I mean, is that not slavery when you have master decide how much you can keep out of your work, out of your labor? I mean, after all, it's hours. You trade hours of your life for something that's supposed to be valuable. Like in this case, it's not really just paper. It's federal. Paper money is not even real backed by silver. But still, let's say this paper money called dollar is a trade between your time and that type of thing, a piece of paper called dollar. Now, if somebody takes out of your time free work, because that's what you're doing, you're going to work for free many hours out of your year to pay against your will something that really, then we go to the justification. That's another reason. But let's just look at that. That's a form of slavery, in my opinion, is it?
Yeah, it is a form of slavery, and it also encourages mediocrity, because the more you make, then you end up in a higher tax bracket, and then they're taking more money away from you. And so instead of rewarding you for your hard work and for your ingenuity and just for being successful, they take more of it from you. I mean, it's worse than a pimp, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is. And on top, people think, we are not communists here. This is exactly out of the Marx Communist Manifesto, a progressive income tax. That's the dream of Karl Marx. And now we have it in America. Yeah, maybe less than probably Sweden or maybe Italy. I understand. But the principle is exactly the same. And my only question is, if somebody taxes you like 100%, yes, you must admit it. You are a slave. You're working for free. But when somebody taxes you like, let's say, 70% to 60% between, state, local, and federal, sometimes, you can get to the right. You are probably 70% slave. I mean, is that not true? I mean, my point is we should know why we came to this point, because many people, unfortunately, I realize, don't even know. I mean, the fact that we have an entity like, and I'm just talking to, we know each other now. You know a lot of things. I realize that. I see you post, but sometimes I don't assume. An entity called private, I mean, they're not called private. They are Federal Reserve. They have this arrogance to call themselves Federal Reserve, but they are a private cartel of banks that since 1913, they pretty much took over our currency system. They print money out of thin air. And reality is, and this is being proven by also a President Reagan investigation, congressional investigation, all the income tax that we slaves pay, all it does, it pays pretty much just the interest that we owe back to this cartel of banks. So why don't we bypass them? And we, as a U.S. Treasury, we print our own money as a country. So at least if you really want to do welfare or whatever programs you want to do, and every dollar you spend, we don't need to be taxed the interest. And we don't have any more, like we didn't have before 1913, the income tax. I mean, it seems like a pretty common sense thing. Everybody talks about tax cuts. I mean, cut tax or all this stuff like Trump and the Congress, or we got to do tax reform. But nobody really addressed the real problem. We didn't have taxes before 1913, and we still had a nation, and better than now, in my opinion. Why you think nobody wants to touch this Federal Reserve scam out there?
Well, in most cases, people are unaware of the scam, and if they learn anything about it, they believe it's some type of conspiracy theory, but it's not a conspiracy theory. This is actual reality. So it will take waking up the masses in order for this to change. And unfortunately, I'm getting less optimistic, as time goes on, that enough people are going to wake up, unfortunately.
Well, I think we are reaching listen, I remember myself, we were all ignorant sometime, okay? There is only time for what and when. Learning is a curve, but it's always constant. You never stop learning. You always learn new things. I learned about the Federal Reserve in 2005. I was kind of late, but I was just pretty much new to this country anyway. So, but my point is, we are reaching still more people today than probably just 10 years ago. The point is still sometimes seems so big to overcome all this, because there are still also so many people out there that they just don't want to get it, or they are afraid even to talk about it, because they realize that when they admit that there is a problem, then they need to do something, and they don't maybe have even the courage to face it. And after all, the little world is pretty good. Yes, there is this entity that, I had to pay at the end of the year this money. But at the end of the day, I still can be home. I got my home, and I got my little slave job. And yes, I can get my vacation. And yes, I'm free. Talking about freedom, what do you think about the Social Security? I mean, the fact, that the government can take part of your money without your consent because they decide that they know better how to invest them for your future. That, for me, drives me crazy. I mean,
absolutely.
If it's really
it's
my
a
money,
huge Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Because the money that we're investing now, that's paying off the retired people currently. And so, honestly, I don't expect to get anything from Social Security. So I'm not even going to count on, that proper existence, because it's going to be completely bankrupt by the time, I reach retirement age, quote unquote. It's just one of those things people have to wake up and realize that, you know what, I create my own life. I create the amount of success that I want to have. And no, I don't need government to help me with it.
My point is, so even if it was really, truly a great system, okay, let's say Social Security, wow, you put $1 and you will get your dollar back with the interest. That's fine, great. But if it is really my money, okay, that I work hard for, I should be able to decide how I want to invest them. Maybe I don't like to do that. Maybe I want to spend them now. Or maybe I want to buy gold. Or maybe I want to do something else. The fact that their arrogance, they get your money before even you can touch them. I mean, you don't touch those money. They're gone before even they hit your bank account. So right there, I think really it is something that, I don't know, it should maybe make you at least think. If you really think, you're a free person, that's really your money, you should be able to control those money. You should be able to control your body. You should be able in charge of those things and your property, which really is your property, So anyway, that's my point. And that's why I'm talking about these things, because I like to have your mind. And as I said, I don't care what type of color you are, but the fact that you have a different background, you're a black woman. And I'm sure, your past, I don't know today how really, how things have changed. I hope better, but I don't assume. But I know for sure that probably 100 years ago, things they weren't exactly all peachy. Even after the Civil War, supposedly the slaves, they were freed. I don't think things changed till recently. How do you, first of all, remember your past as a child, when you were living in Tennessee? Can I ask you which part of America
well, I was actually born in Nashville, but my mom was born in Pulaski, and that was the same place the KKK was founded. So,
okay.
But I was actually raised in Maryland. So, yeah, I've lived in a lot of different states. And, overall, I just remember childhood being very positive. And, there would be little isolated incidences. But, looking back on that, what I don't understand is, okay, if you want to feel whatever way you want to feel about other people, that's fine, but why force the issue on others?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like me, it's cool. Just stay away from me.
Exactly.
You don't have to threaten me in any way. Just stay away. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. My point is, right now, for example, we're talking about 2017, okay? And of course, now you live in a big city, Las Vegas. It seems very much a blend of different ethnics and people. I mean, it's business. Yeah, I don't know. I go to Las Vegas. I do business. I never had any problem with, I know sometimes my accent probably, in some parts of the country, they may look at me like I'm from, I'm not from here. And I had sometimes a couple times, hey, they treat you a little bit differently. But honestly, my humble opinion, in America here, as a former immigrant from Italy, I never had any real problem. Besides, the problems are the people that they kiss your ass till yesterday when they agree with you. Some of these people that normally we agree on many things, like the lady I was telling you before. But then the moment that they found something that they doesn't compute anymore with a little program, in this case, having an open conversation like we're having now, oh, maybe you should go back to Italy if you don't like it. I mean, that's for me the most, if you want to call it bigot, I don't really care. But yeah, that's something really, I don't find it smart. Because you can tell me I don't agree with you, but now why you have to go back where I was from? I'm here as an American.
Well, I get that too. If you don't like America, move away.
I mean, I'm in
But
America
moving
too.
away is not necessary. What is necessary is us, coming together and making, this country be a better place for everyone to live in. That's the solution. Make it better for everyone, not, simply leave because we don't want to be rolled over.
Exactly. But the funny thing is, we don't ask anything. At least I'm speaking for myself. I know yourself too, in the same mindset. I mean, we wanted just to say, please, leave us alone and use your money to create your utopistic reality. I mean, that's the sad thing, Oh, if you don't like America, go away. No, I like America. But my point is, they need you, they need us more than we need them. That's the reality. Because this system would collapse if there would not be coercion to have people like us forced into the system. The moment that people say, you know what, no, I'm sorry, the Social Security money is my money, and I don't think you should get it unless I want it. Bang, they need you. So I don't want to leave America. I want you to leave me the left alone. I mean, that's the point. Same story with,
Exactly.
Property taxes. You know what? You can do whatever you want. You can build all the schools and give all this fancy car to all these teachers, or not even the teacher, the supervisor, all the different extra millions of dollars that they spend and more spend. But at the end of the day, without my property tax, you can do whatever you want. But they want your property tax, like they want your income, like they want to force you to do things. So that's the point, That's the difference. I don't want them to do anything just to be sure that they don't use violence against others. That's my philosophy. I don't use I will never coerce anybody else to say, you got to do what I say or follow my belief. That's exactly, right. We are opposite than that. So that's the interesting thing. But listen to me, a little bit I want to ask you about, I'm very fascinated about your background. And by the way, I never really had a chance to interact many with black ladies. I had few friends when I was in Los Angeles, but I always found very interesting. I like women in general from everywhere, especially when they have different type of, we all have ancestors and origins and things like that. So I'm always fascinated from every ethnic group, I must admit it, especially when you tell me, that you are from Tennessee, but more important, did you ever find out really where you were from? For example, which part of Africa you were from?
I actually got the 23andMe. They were able to analyze my DNA, so it was broken down by, I was basically from West Africa, and I'm hoping someday to maybe have a DNA match with a long lost cousin from there, and I can maybe go to the country and meet them. But so far, and actually when I did that, it was quite surprising because I knew, because being American and the way the slavery system was, that I wasn't purely black, but I was actually surprised the high percentage of European ancestry I had, because I was expecting to be maybe 5, maybe 10%, but I was quite shocked. It was almost 25%.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, that was interesting. And
listen, I believe also that.
Listen,
there is some story probably that they were coerced, but maybe there were also some love stories, even when things they were forbidden.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows?
Well, because it's probably some coercion, but it was also some love stories as well. But if you're living in a system where the government won't allow you to be with the person you love, then you have to get creative to be with that person. It was just very sad. We look at those situations where, had government been out of the way, these would have been, mutual loving relationships. Mm-hmm. But since government was in the way, then you had to have all this creative sneaking around.
Yeah. No, it's
so,
true.
it was probably better both, both coercion and actually both love stories where government was in the way.
One thing I want to remind everybody, that's why when I say people, we got to follow the law, it's the law. Yes. There is also a point, though. There were laws in the past, and even in the present, by the way. But let's look at the past. In every country, by the way, but we talk about here right now, that they did things that were legal. I mean, think about it. there was an executive order, there was even a law that took people of Japanese descent, and also Italian too, and Germans too, by the way, but mostly they were Japanese, and robbed their life, took them out of their homes, out of their businesses, without any type of due process, and put them in concentration camps. Think about that. That was lawful. That was under World War II. I mean, think about that. FDR. I mean, talking about slavery, there was the law that the Supreme Court, I don't have the case right now in front of me, but at the time confirmed that slavery was legal. I mean, there was a law that Rosa Parks, supposedly, she has to sit down back in the back of the truck. I mean, that's my point. There are so many laws today that if you look at this point, not because they are laws, means that they are following the principles of our Constitution and, more important, of our Bill of Rights and Declaration of Independence. So that's my point. I think should be think every law enforcement that is supposed to be called, in my opinion, peace officers, to think about it. And not just them, also us. Because today say, you know what, oh yeah, I need to follow the law. What if tomorrow the law says you need to turn in your brother? Or you need to, oh, by the way, he's a slave because the government says so. Think about it. I mean, and so many other things, like I told you, there are many examples in my opinion. So not because everything now it's lawful or it's being passed by Congress means that, in my opinion, that we should say, oh, it's the law of the land and I'm going to submit it. That's for me, I'm sorry, I may sound like anarchist, but I am not. I just say, if you tell me 100 years ago, another human being, just because government says a slave, I refuse to follow their law. Same story with people, hey, you are Japanese descent, but you're an American. And just because you look Japanese or your family was Japanese, now we need to put you in a camp. That's for me. I would break the law. I would never follow the law. That's the way I am, but that's just me. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Listen to me. Let's talk about more beautiful thing. I mean, this is beautiful, but something a little more on the love side. Now, you live in a big city, Las Vegas, big enough.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You can always plead your Fifth Amendment. You don't need to answer everything, okay? This is the hour about love. I'm going to be a little touchy now. You are a single lady, are you?
I am single, yes.
How is that possible? Okay, because people seriously, people cannot see you very well now because, of course, you're on the radio, okay? But if they're curious, they can dig you around Facebook, and you're a very beautiful lady. So,
well, thank you very much.
So how that happen? I mean, I know you're busy, probably you're busy taking care of your family and everything else. Maybe you don't have much time. I'm just trying to guess. At the same time, what happened to you? What's going on?
Okay, well, I'll let you know what happened. Well, I was in a long relationship, 7-year relationship, and in the beginning, he was fantastic. He had libertarian ideals, so we connected at so many levels. Mm-hmm. And then I would say it was probably a few years into a relationship to where I realized he wasn't such a libertarian. It was mainly when I was pregnant with our daughter, and he started to get very controlling about what I was eating, which I understood that he wanted me to eat the healthiest possible foods. But when you're pregnant, you don't always want those foods, and sometimes the healthiest foods will make you feel sick, so you have to eat what you can keep down. That's when things started to get strained. And, to make a long story short, almost a year ago today, December 2nd last year, I just decided, you know what, I had enough. And so I just took the kids and I left him and decided basically to start all over again.
Well, that's interesting. That shows that you
have... And so I've pretty much been single ever since.
You have some pride, and that's really nice because sometimes, it's easier to find, especially, when you have a lot of challenges. We live in a tough world. You got to get up in the morning and make things happen, okay? And when you're in two and you have a man around, things can be a little easier if you look at the practical aspect. At the same time, if you want to preserve your pride and your dignity, I think it is very nice what you did. At the same time, I respect the fact that, not many women, they may have the courage you have, especially with a child, as you told me. So my best respect to you. That's what I want to say.
Well, thank you very much. And so basically I've just been, focusing on just, getting my life together. And, I do have 2 children. I have a 10-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. And basically I just want to focus on, having a great life with them. And, if I meet a wonderful man, I would love to share my life with them. If I don't, it's okay too.
That's good. That's the right attitude. I believe that too. You need sometimes just things let happen. And sometimes more you push that, and more you're going to get the wrong person or you get the wrong situation, And I believe everything happens for a reason. Now, question is, when you go out, in a city like Las Vegas, I always like to ask these questions. You're a woman by yourself. You do your stuff. Do you feel like they look at you for the color of your skin, or they just look at you, like normally they would look at anybody else? I have no idea, because I never really had the chance to ask this question to people from your black people.
What's interesting, living in Vegas is so diverse here. I haven't felt any issues with racism at all. Mm-hmm. And even when we lived in Lake Havasu in Arizona, Lake Havasu, I believe it's 90+% white people. I never noticed any racism or any hostility there either. Mm-hmm. So I think, in terms of how we are, as a country, things are definitely improving. I'm sure there's still some, certain parts of the country, would have the white nationalists all set up, where it's not like that. But, so far living, here in Vegas and then in Havasu before, it's been great. It's been totally fine. I haven't noticed any racial hostilities whatsoever.
That's great, because, honestly, as I said, I always look outside with the eyes of a witness, because I don't really have an experience to live, with somebody that can say, by the way, I'm facing this or facing that. So from outside, I see things like, at least, I don't know, I've been in Los Angeles, I've been in Las Vegas, I've been also, of course, in this part of Arizona. I never felt that type of speech or of attitude to say, no. Maybe I'm surrounding myself with the right people. I don't know. For sure, I don't attend any type of special secret group meetings, okay, like the KKK. But still, sometimes you can feel people around you, and the average person I met, they don't have problems, honestly. The problem I realize now what's happening, it's almost on the other side to try to reopen the wound. Because, yes, there was a wound. We had a problem. But it wasn't just, my opinion, an American problem. There was a world problem. Because slavery, it wasn't just an American reality. We still have slaves in Libya right now. We have still slaves in parts of Africa.
I saw that goes on today.
I mean, we had the Irish slaves. We have, slaves in Italy, for God's sake. I mean, slavery, one thing I tell you, me as almost, a neutral, because I didn't have ancestors here. I'm new. But I look at history. I look at what they were trying to do, these founding fathers. Many of them, yes, they were slave owners, like probably most of the world. But one thing, in my opinion, they were trying to do, at least start a new idea on paper. At the time, it was just on paper, where every human is supposed to be created equal. Of course, the Constitution at the beginning didn't put you equal. Black had and Indians had 1/3 of the vote or whatever. I mean, my point is, at least was an attempt to start to put it on record, to create something new that it would eventually blend in a new nation, And at the time, I'm not trying to find excuses, but if they wanted to stop slavery in 1775 or 1776, even better, when they were trying to put together the country, and then, of course, later when the Constitution was created, that never happened. Because probably 80% of the country was founded on this very sad chapter. But it wasn't just an American problem, in my opinion. What do you think? Am I maybe off here, or there is something going on?
No, I get what you're saying. And actually, there was a couple of the founding fathers who were very much opposed to slavery, and they were very vocal about it, such as John Adams. Yeah. He absolutely hated slavery, and he never owned slaves, and no one in his family owned slaves. So you had a couple of exceptions, but, there was a couple lone voices among, the whole group. But it's just nice to know that even back then, there were enlightened people who said, this is horrible. We get rid of this, as well. But, going back to today, I personally can't feel any bitter feelings that I have ancestors that were slaves, mainly because they're dead and buried, and that's the past. It's over with. But what's more concerning, I think we as a nation need to be more concerned about, is the fact that there is slavery going on today.
Yeah.
And there's even, slavery going on in the United States, So let's, instead of, being angry about, what happened to our great-great-great-grandparents, let's focus on, well, what can we do about people who are enslaved today?
Yeah, and I think today we're all slaves.
Most of the citizens.
Yeah, I think we're all slaves in some level. As I said, before we started the conversation, say there was the marriage license was just for black people. Now we all have marriage license. I mean, gun registration was just for black people. Now we all, unless you live in Arizona or other states like this, in most other states, you are all slaves. That's the reality. They all want gun registration. So that's the point. We're all coming now to the same point, and we're all in danger. I mean, think about it. They're going to force you to have the vaccines, no matter if you're black, white, yellow, orange. They will try to use that poison in you against your will. Or even if it's good stuff, it's still against your will. So that's my point.
Exactly.
We're all facing the same reality today. That's why I really believe the plan that I see, especially from part of the government, is to separate us, to divide us, to keep playing this race card. Because the moment that we realize that we're all in the same really pot, and we are boiling because they are cooking us here, and they are melting us like cows, milking us like cows, excuse me. And yeah, we should say, you know what, screw that. Who cares what color are you? We are people that we are facing the same, unfortunately, harsh reality, and we are all in danger to be slave. That's the reality. So I think, and think about the government. The most racist organization, in my opinion, is the government, federal government. I go there, I do an application to buy a gun. You will see there, they start, what is your race? Black, white, brown, orange, Indian. I mean, what the heck? I'm in America. Now, what else do you want? And they are really firm about that. They will not let you have a gun unless they tell you your race. And sometimes they get also a little creative, They start to get, Mexican, Hispanic, European. I mean, what the heck? They change every other year some other parameters. But my point is, I really believe part of the government, or at least some of them, government needs you dependent. And the moment that you are somehow independent, you don't need any more the government. And at the same time when, let's say people, like let's say the black people, they always want to associate themselves people that they need help. But the moment that you say, I want to teach you how to fish, not how to get the free sandwich every day, they realize that the black people say, I don't need your government anymore. I'm free. And that's what they don't want, in my opinion. This is just my humble 2 cents opinion. Anyway, darling, listen to me. We're going to have pretty soon, as I finish all this mess with my final days of this move, a day at least, or a few hours, or whatever time it takes, to do some photos for the Don't Tread on Us rifle. Did you like my T-shirt?
I love the T-shirt.
What is the message? Let's remind. Maybe I can help you out. The message is, slaves are never armed. I am not a slave. Don't you think it's a powerful message, that?
It's a very powerful message.
And I believe that too, because that the first thing I learned studying history before even I came to America. I was studying Roman history, Julius Caesar, go to Gaul, actual France. It's always that these Romans always had to, be troublemakers around Europe and submit other people. He win the battles and the wars against the Gauls. And you see this painting of the Gaul king kneeling, and there is a pile of swords in front of Caesar sitting down with his generals. Of course, a few weeks later, the king of the Gauls will be killed in Rome. But my point is exactly that's what they do every time they can. Your philosophy is free human beings. They should always have the right to defend themselves and to be armed. That's why I believe that message I wrote on the T-shirt. And that's why I really want to do this new rifle that is called, of course, Don't Tread on Us, the Freedom Rifle, an affordable rifle for every law-abiding American that does not want to be a slave. I don't have guns to hunt. Even, of course, if you want, you can hunt, but I don't hunt. It's for freedom. That's my humble opinion about that. Tell me something about whatever you want to ask me. Now, I've been asking you questions for probably 40 minutes almost. Do you have any questions about anything? maybe even about the Zanna coffee that I think you got a bag, by the way.
Well, I appreciate the coffee. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, I do have a question. I remember that post on Facebook where when you first came to America, I believe you were living in L.A., and you had this business where you would go to people's homes and you would, prepare food for them and, dress up as Spartacus.
Yes.
Do you still do that?
Right now, I don't. There would be something that, don't get me wrong, I would love to do everything. Okay, I enjoy things. I always was blessed to do things that I like. That's the point. And I chose that because I like it. I like to sing. I like to cook. I used to be dressing like a Spartacus before I left Rome. Maybe the time was not exactly a choice. I mean, it was a choice, but it wasn't exactly something. Oh my God, I don't know if I ever told you, but my last 15 months before I left Italy, I was working on the streets of Rome. I never told you that, maybe.
Oh.
Yeah, if you read my bio, I used to be a music producer, and I used to have a music magazine. And I was pretty much, okay, that's going to be my destiny. But I knew that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to come to America. Then, I had a great experience with the Italian government, making me realize that you're really a slave, especially if you don't comply with their tax law, okay? And I said, what, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why I have to pay? In Italy, when you hire somebody, just to let you know, you cannot even fire anymore unless you go out of business. I don't know if you ever told you that. With a union, that's the way it works.
I didn't know that.
Unless you want to pay $40,000 to the union or whatever. So anyway, but the point is, I realized I was really a complete slave, not even halfway. So I said, you know what? I went crazy. And I said, no more music magazine, no more music business. And I'm going to become, tomorrow morning, the Roman gladiator Spartacus, taking photos with tourists on the streets of Rome and doing Roman gladiators fights at night in restaurants and hotels. That's what I did for 15 months before I left Italy. Then, of course, when I came to America, I had my 2 luggages full of dreams and also full of my recent past. I have all my swords, my leather, and my skirts and all this stuff. And also, of course, I said, no more time to fight here. Now we're in America. We need to have a little better life, hopefully. And I started to enjoy what normally I like to do. I like to cook. I like to sing while I cook. So I did these little 2 hours shows, private shows. They were not really shows. They were mostly also a cultural experience because I also used to I used to have at the time the slideshow, the slide projector. So I do projection of photos of Rome. Meanwhile, me dressed as a Roman gladiator, I'm going to teach you how to cook a couple of really simple but good Italian recipes. And meanwhile, the pasta is cooking, I will serenade you. All that for $99. That was a steal. Of course, tips always welcome. Of course, there was $19.98, so $19.99, maybe $99 was a little more than now. But still, for me, as a fresh immigrant, that was a good way to say, I can pay my bills and learn English at the same time and have fun. So, yes, I enjoy it, and I'm not shy. Many people say, oh, my God, no, this is something I'm proud of it. And not only that, right now, maybe I'm not going to be dressing anymore as a gladiator. I don't have the time, but I still have my clothing, and I still have everything. So you never know. Who knows?
And how long did you do that for?
Oh, I did that for at least 1 year. That was my first real business that I started it. And, I know at the time, I must admit, I didn't have any license. I'm sorry. I admit that I broke probably some California laws. I was completely a rebel.
That's okay. They're stupid laws anyway.
You know what? At least I didn't cost anything to the system, okay? I never asked, since I come to this country, a dime to any social services. I always paid for my own ways, okay? I didn't say, I want this, I want that. So I was taking care of myself, okay? I know I didn't have a CD license, business license. I was a rebel, jumping in my little Jeep and going around, okay? But that's okay. That's okay. Then I decided to make my own business more official. But that was the first time. And, but I enjoyed. That was something also gave me the opportunity to, live the dream, almost in a romantic way, bringing the best of whatever country I was from, Italy in that case, sharing it with my customers. And, of course, 99% they were women. Not because I didn't want men, but that probably most of the time was the audience, I mean, I had one time a guy that unfortunately he didn't understand that was just a cooking show. It wasn't some sort of a porn show, okay? So I had to remind them. I always bring with me my rolling pin, okay? That was my sword for the time. When you're going West Hollywood, sometimes people get confused there. But beside that, everybody was very respectful, and I'm always very professional. One thing I must tell you, I'm pretty proud about that. I never mix business or, let's say, professionalism with personal. If we want to date, we do after business hours. That's the point. Anyway, that was just a little note. But anyway, yeah, I hope I answered to your question. Any other thing I can help you with?
Well, that was the first thing I wanted to know because I was very fascinated by that. I can't think of anything else at the moment.
Okay, let me give you
this. I do have your contact information, so I will be contacting you in the days ahead if I think of something else.
Yes, listen, by the way, one thing I want to remind everybody, there is a website out there. It's called freedomlovers.us, and it's really free. It's free because I'm paying for it, okay? Nobody else. It's freedomlovers.us, 100% free. It is not just a dating site. It is also a place where you can meet friends. You can meet hopefully like-minded people. Yes, there are some scammers out there. We try to block them, but there's still sometimes, try to get they ask you for money, whatever. But bottom line is, it's free. Get your judgment. Look for people. And the idea was to create a place where like-minded people who believe in independence, in freedom can meet each other. So go to freedomlovers.us. Hopefully you can find maybe some friends and connect. And also another thing, if you want to keep this show the way it is, where we can talk about everything we want, we have no censorship whatsoever, I remind you that's the way I do it. I don't have sponsors, because if I go to a sponsor, they may say, hey, I don't like that, I don't like this. No, we are the sponsors. You are the sponsor. And anybody of you can sponsor the show with just supporting any of my products. You can go to zannacoffee.com, buy any of my coffee bags. You can go to just 99 cents to Amazon or iTunes, or just to zanna.us, download any of my songs. Hey, did I send you any of my CD yet, Karmyn?
Not a CD, but I did get the coffee and the T-shirt.
Oh, not the CD. Oh, my gosh, I forgot. Now, when I come and I'll meet you for the photo shoot, I will bring you one of my CDs, okay? At least you can see
Thank you very much.
My other side, my music side. I don't just make guns. Listen, I want to thank you, Karmyn. That was a nice talk, and I appreciate knowing you and also talking a little bit about different topics. The show, of course, is Love, Guns, and Freedom. I really, truly believe that you represent the spirit of the show. You like the freedom, you like the guns, and you are the love, okay?
Thank you very much.
All
it's been a pleasure.
All right, Karmyn, keep in touch. Hopefully by next week, if I'm not dead of stress and tiredness, I'll see you, and we will do the photo shooting, okay?
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Karmyn. That was Karmyn. Don't go away. Stay there. Let me just close this. Anyway, that was Karmyn. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. I want to normally I would do a serenade, but today, I'm not feeling very great. I'm tired. I've been sleeping not very much, and I'm hungry, by the way. I didn't eat since last night, so not serenade. But next Sunday, I will do a little serenade. Yes, I should do a serenade. Meanwhile, today, we just play a song. And then say it next Sunday. I'll see you again, hopefully. We'll see. Meanwhile, don't forget, if you want to listen to the show, go to lovegunsfreedom.com and you can replay all the past show. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Thank you. Ciao. Well. I changed my mind. I wanted to do a serenade. Yes, I think at this point, it's a long time that I didn't do the serenade. This is the hour about love. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. This is Luca Zanna. And Karmyn gave me the inspiration. Why not? I should do a nice serenade here. After all, life is short. We talk about always serious things on this show, right? The evil that we are facing as humanity. At the end of the day, as I said, we need to find a way to win. How do we win? I think we win also when we appreciate the little things that we still have. And we should always have, no matter the adversities of lives. One of those, it's love. One of those, it's to just be enjoying yourself and your life and your little things. Maybe sometimes a little meal, the peace of your comfort in your home, hopefully, if you have a home, and your family, your beloved one. That's what I think. And a little fun. A serenade, I think it's a little fun thing. So now the serenade I will sing for you, I'll dedicate out there to all the people out there that are singles and they're looking for the special person. It is exactly Parla più piano. And it's an Italian version from the Godfather's theme. By the way, that was the original one. Okay, stay there, ready to go. And this is Luca Zanna for you. Parla più piano.
Parla più piano e nessuno sentirà il nostro amore, lo viviamo io e te. Nessuno sa la verità, nemmeno il cielo che ci guarda da lassù. Parla più piano, vieni più vicino a me. Voglio sentire gli occhi miei dentro di te. Nessuno sa la verità. È un grande amore e mai più grande esisterà. Insieme a te io resterò, amore mio, sempre così. Parla più piano, vieni più vicino a me. Voglio sentire gli occhi miei dentro di te. Nessuno sa la verità.
Are you ready to get lost in lust? Immerse yourself in a thunderstorm of emotions and passion. Order Gianluca Zanna's new book, Perfectly Crazy, 69 erotic visions and love poems with forbidden erotic Italian phrases. Perfectly Crazy by Gianluca Zanna. Available all over the world at Amazon.com and www.zanna.us.